Warning: the Dub Talk podcast contains language and content that may not be suitable for younger audiences. Listener discretion is advised. Also, be prepared for spoilers for the entirety of the Fruits Basket anime, as well as the manga. If you have not seen or read the series, please come back to this episode later. Unless you don't really care about spoilers, that's cool too. Finally, the opinions expressed are those of today's participants and do not reflect Dub Talk as a whole. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy the dulcet tones of Miss Meredith McCoy as today's Dub Talk Classics episode begins.
I was so happy when you smiled. Your smile breaks through the clouds of gray. Far from the sunny days that lie in sleep.
Hello, one and all, and welcome to Dub Talk Classics? No, seriously. Welcome to Dub Talk Classics, a show where a group of friends gets together and reviews a classic anime dub that has shaped the industry or how we view anime. My name is Megan, and tonight, welcome to the first original GOATS Dub Talk Classic episode.
Woo-woo!
Bah!
And only really because we didn't get to call dibs on any summer stuff.
Yeah, really.
So we needed to do something.
Yeah, we didn't have, summer shows were few and far between in interest, and frankly, summer season isn't as viable as we thought it was gonna be.
I mean, summer is generally not the best season for anime.
Usually it's winter or fall, so. Speaking of the four seasons, tonight we ask you to gather around and celebrate because it's time to have a birthday party.
Woo! Happy birthday! Wait, hold on.
Oh wait,
Hold it. Whose birthday is it?
it is the 16th anniversary of the debut of the anime Fruits Basket.
Ah, okay.
Yes,
It's
it's actually
officially-
the anime can legally drive now.
In certain states. In certain states it can also fuck, but we don't
Oh,
talk
wow.
about that.
We're not talking
About
about
that.
that. No, we're not the time or place.
But no, tonight, if the rest of us didn't all feel old,
Oh boy.
some of you who probably watched this weren't born yet, and that terrifies me.
That is a very scary thought when you say that.
Kill me.
We're old farts.
We're old
we're-
goats.
We're
OG
old
now
goats.
stands for old goats.
Yes.
Man, get off my lawn, you
Meh.
kids.
Oh god.
Man, back in my day, we had the munchkins 2 ways up at the petting zoo.
And we liked it.
Back in my day, you could headbutt a kid in the nuts and no one gave a shit.
Oh my god.
Anyways,
Before we get
Yeah.
too off track, tonight we are talking about Fruits Basket, probably the gateway shojou drug of choice for many early 2000s anime fans. If you've not watched it, here is a quick summary. Tohru Honda is a 16-year-old orphan girl. After losing her mom, decides to live in the tent in the woods out of consideration of her family and friends as her grandfather's house is renovated. She happens one day upon the house with a bunch of zodiac figurines and meets a man named Shigure. However, not everything in the house as it seems, as her very handsome classmate Yuki Sohma appears. However, one night after, her tent is destroyed in a landslide and she is invited to live in the Soma household as their maid. Along the way, she also gets introduced to Keo Soma and learns that the family is cursed to turn into the animals of the Chinese zodiac and the cat when hugged by the members of the opposite sex. Every day is an adventure for sweet Tohru as she gets to know everyone in the larger family, especially Yuki and Keo, in both common and bizarre situations. However, the Soma family curse is certainly no laughing matter, as it holds horrible cruelty and heartbreak. If you have never watched this show, prepare for the feels express, because your sides will hurt and your face will sting.
Yeah. But it's gonna be very interesting. Because to kind of remind people how classics episodes tend to work. is the host has the most knowledge or experience with the show, that being Megan. And then
My baby.
the people jumping on board to help out, they may not have a lot of knowledge, they may not have seen the show before, so that's where we come in. And, Hardy!
Yes.
You just finished the show for the first time like an hour ago, right?
I literally just finished it. Yeah, today.
Yeah.
So I mean, I started it several years ago. I only made it past through the first 6 episodes, and then you guys decided you want to do this episode, so I had to marathon the rest of it basically this week. It is not an easy show to marathon because it tends to be a bit on the slow, dramatical side. So watching it one after each other is kind of difficult to do. So this is the type of show to where you watch like one episode a day or one episode every now and then. You don't just marathon it all the way through.
Unless you're crazy like me and actually enjoyed the process of marathoning through it. For the record, I found this show in the 8th grade, which was 2006.
I found this show. When did I first see the show? Because like Megan said, it is like the shoujo gateway, if anything.
Shoujo gateway jug of choice. Hey kids,
Yeah,
down here all we have is Fruits Basket, Pennywise the Clown.
God damn it. Relevant. No, I watched this show the first time when I was in high school. I think it was 2005, 2006, when I was either a freshman or sophomore. And it was kind of around this time when I was actually really slowly discovering what anime actually was.
Yes.
And that it wasn't just like Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Digimon, all that stuff. So it was one of the first longer shows that I actually sought out and watched the entire thing. So.
And yeah, this is a very heavy show at points. And the manga is no different. The manga is complete, and it does go beyond what the anime is. Thankfully, it was originally licensed by Tokyo Pop. But as we all know, Tokyo Pop is the devil and went under. But luckily, Yen Press has re-released all of it on these beautiful collector's editions. And there's only 12 volumes of it. I believe it's 2 in every 1 volume, so it's a 24-volume manga. And there are some differences from the anime to the manga, which I will point out at points. Because one of the things is, if this show is, in this day and age, because everything and its mom is getting a sequel or a reboot, there would be some voices that would need to be changed due to certain circumstances. But we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But for now, let's cross over into the technical meat of the show with the show's director and its scriptwriter. Obviously, with a classics episode, there are no predictions. We are going by what the cast was at the time. So our director is going to be Justin, producer of everything at Funimation, Cook, and John, head writer of everything at Funimation, Bergmeyer.
The places we start from, because Fruits Basket's probably one of the early Funimation dubs that they had.
Yeah, it came out around the same time that they were doing things like Blue Gender and I think Spiral came a little bit later. But yeah, no, Yu Yu Hakusho and Blue Gender.
You're also going to see another show pop up a lot for some of the actors, and that show is going to be Kitty Grade.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, true.
Hardy makes a groan like, oh god, no, not Kitty Grade.
No, and I think this is definitely before like the FMAs and Orons and all that stuff.
Yeah, FMA is going to be coming out after. Probably after this. But to go over some of the series that Justin Cook has directed, he did direct the dub of Kitty Grade. He also did the dub direction for Mass Effect Paragon Lost, as well as Yu Yu Hakusho Ghost Files. John Bergmeyer, to go over stuff he has specifically been the scriptwriter on. He did not Mongolian. The fuck's a Mongolian?
I don't know.
No. On you Mongolians!
Damn you Mongolians and your chop squatting. He did all of the Evangelion reboot films. Rebuild films, not reboot, rebuild. But that being 1.0, 2.0, and 3.33. You know that show that movie that never was going to come out, and then it did, and everyone's like, well, now what the fuck do we wait for?
The white whale. The white whale.
Yar, she blows. And then he also did the head writing of Origin Spirits of the Past. Okay. So, how do we feel about Justin's directing and John's script writing?
It is a product of its time. You can definitely tell this is one of the early Funimation dubs. And you can definitely tell that some of the performances aren't as strong as more recent work. I think this was the point where Funny was still trying to get their feet wet in the dubbing industry. They really hadn't had much experience before, and so it is a product of its time. It's strong in certain areas, but it's also very weak in certain parts. As my main big groan was that a lot of the names were mispronounced, whether that was intentional or whether they just did it so that because they thought it was the cool thing to do. I don't know. Writing wise, it's fine. I didn't really notice any major flaws in the writing. But yeah, it's very, very strongly a product of its time.
I can agree with some of what you just said. I mean, of course, to be fair, this dub probably came out close to the mid-2000s originally. And there are parts of it that can seem kind of dated and make it a product of its time. But however, because you said that you didn't really find any glaring flaws in the writing, I really enjoyed the writing on the show. And I know I've had issues in the past with other shows where I tend to have the concern of specific terminology and slang being used from like this day and age, not translating several years down the line for people.
Right.
And the fact that with Fruits Basket and the writing is pretty faithful and kind of sticks to the content and the context and everything going on. I think it's very strong in that department. There were quite a few fun jokes, and I did write down a couple notes on some of them. Like, for example, when Shigure calls, Shigure is like, kind of lecturing Keo, and he's referring misdirected, like the line misdirected rage, or what's called being an ass.
We've just witnessed what I'd like to call misdirecting names. I believe the technical term is being an ass.
It's like little things like that I just get a complete kick out of, and a good amount of the comedic performance really is on Shigure. And when we get to Shigure, I would imagine that was the best time that John Bergmeyer wrote for a character.
Just one of my favorite moments. Please put your hand up like this. Put your head down. Any tips for the poor beggar girl? His torment of May is
high school girls. 1, 2, 3. High school girls. But in terms of the directing on that end and Justin Cook, taking into consideration that this is a very early Funimation dub and there's not really a huge talent pool at the time, I enjoyed the casting for what it is. Watching it now, there are some roles and some performances that could have been better, but given that this show itself is 16 years old and the dub is probably 13, 14 years old, if we had to guesstimate when the dub was originally recorded and released, I think the dub is pretty solid on all fronts, minus a few performances here and there that obviously early dub for Funimation, it can be a product of its time, but I still think it's really solid in general, as long as you take into consideration that this is an early dub from Funimation. So
yeah, and I'll agree with a lot of those points. Another really funny moment is I think it's when they go to the lake house, mm-hmm. and Shigure offers to call Ayame. And in the Japanese, it goes, call him and we'll send you to hell. And the English is, if you do that, I'll make you eat the phone.
Yuki does not like his brother.
To be fair, if I was Yuki, I would also not like my own brother. To which I believe he also asked Shigure to barbecue his bastard brother when he's a snake.
Yes. Here.
Eat
Cook this
this.
up and eat this. Eat this. You hungry? Eat it.
He's just holding a snake in his hands, which
it's great.
If you eat snake, all the more power to you. But when most people say they eat a snake, they don't think that way.
Oh.
Well then. Anyway.
Oh come on! It's what Ayame does. At least his customers do. I do certain things. But one of the things I really do compliment the show about is how strong the writing is. Because there are very few slang pop cultural references. I think there's one that they call Jason a bear.
Yes,
and Keo thinks that Jason's a bear, but I actually think that is in the manga. That they make a Friday the 13th joke themselves.
Oh, okay.
Which is really weird to say about a 16-year-old show when there are some shows that come out today that we complain about the writing on.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if the extent of a bear named Jason is like the biggest problem we might have,
then it is a drop in the ocean of angry, pissed off sub-elitist.
I mean, because some people will probably just some people probably that joke would just go over their heads if they haven't seen like Friday the 13th.
And then there are people who literally are like sharks waiting for a certain person's name that starts either with a T or a J to dip their toe in the pool, and then they eat them alive.
And then you also have some people like me. I will admit, I got a chuckle out of it. I forgot that the bear that they were talking about was named Jason. I was like,
that whole sequence is just terrible.
It kind of got a little
yelling
chuckle
at
out
each
of
other.
Look
at you calling your stupid little rat friends. I did not call them here. They came here of their own accord. Just a bunch of little rats are up on like the branch, and you're just like, I don't get paid enough for this. I will say this though, there are some little technical things I did notice, and I didn't know if this was a streaming thing, but sometimes the music was super loud in the show and it was over the voicing.
Okay.
And then there were sometimes I feel like where certain characters talked really fast. Other than that, I think and like I said, there are some performances that are maybe a little bit weaker these days, or they wouldn't really pass, or if, God forbid, again, if they remade the shows, certain people, things have changed, yada yada yada, but I think that for a 16-year-old show, you could put this dub on, and it would be perfectly serviceable. And I also think this is one of the first shows that wasn't some sort of action show.
Right.
Like, this was not things punch and you scream the show.
Yeah.
Or sci-fi. Or anything. This was a dramedy.
Mm-hmm.
This was not, like, at the end of the day, Sean Shummel's gonna come in here, scream as Goku for, like, 3 straight fucking episodes. And everything's gonna be like, in which there's certain characters, Ritsu, who scream their freaking heads off and stuff. But there are also characters
poor Ritsu!
But there's also characters who are very quiet and soft-spoken, and there are a lot of times where the show doesn't have talking at all, and it's smaller noises and grunts, and the scene work speaks for itself, and we'll get to that character later. But from there, is everybody good moving on from director and writer?
Sure.
I would say so, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, so we're going to move into our first set of characters, and they are both side characters in this show. That being Kazuma Soma and Kyoko Honda. Kazuma Soma shows up in the last 3 episodes of the show and is Kyo's karate master / adopted father, who took Keo in after the death of his mother and his own biological father's subsequent rejection of his son for being cursed as a cat. And Kyoko Honda is Tohru Honda's mother, who passes away via a car accident before the series starts, and she essentially comes in through Toru's memories to be a kind of source of light and inspiration to her life, and the source of Toru's own endless kindness, to be nice. So, Kazuma Soma is played by Damian Clark, and Kyoko Honda is played by Miss Julie Mayfield. Damian Clark was Scar in the original Full Metal Alchemist series. He was Cell in Dragon Ball Z, in Hillshire in Gunslinger Girl. Julie Mayfield was Isahime in Kami-sama Kiss, Dr. Kureha in One Piece, and she was the landlady in Shin-chan. So, how do we feel about these performances?
I gotta find what else these people have been in, because I don't really remember
I've never
them that
watched
much.
Gunslinger Girl or Dragon Ball Z, so the only thing I know Damien Clark in is Scar trying to murder Vic Mignogna for like X amount of episodes and then dying.
Same, and it's been a long time since I've seen it.
But
It's been a few years.
I think, as far as the characters are concerned, in Kazuma's case, he's not in there very much.
Yeah.
And so you really can't judge Damien's performance on the full scale because his character really doesn't have much to say, except for the last 3 episodes. But it sounds fine. I've always thought that Damien was one of the stronger actors from early Funimation, and I don't have any complaints. As far as Kyoko goes, I heard someone once say that she reminded them almost like Holly Hunter, I believe. No, it sounds okay. I don't really have any complaints for those two.
Oh, fun fact. Julie is also Ritsu's mother.
yes,
The
she's
hostess
also
of the Hot
Spring- Springs.
I just realized. I just learned this. I'm like, oh,
She's a couple
Huh.
of people in the show. There are a couple
Okay.
people who are multiple characters in the show.
yeah.
Yeah, that was a big thing back in the early Funimation days, especially with Dragon Ball, with Chris Sabat playing like 8 different people.
Like
Everybody in the
everyone.
kitchen sink.
Yeah.
He's everyone.
I will say this though, it was actually a scene with Kazuma was the first time I actually cried upon rewatching the show. And that was when it was right after the funeral for
Okay.
Keo's mom. And we put a spoiler warning here, is if you've never read the manga, and I don't know if you guys caught the implications of this in the show, but Keo's mom actually does commit suicide.
Oh.
Fun fact, Keo's mom is also played by Wendy Powell.
Ah, yes.
But Keo's mom commits suicide. And it's very, very much, if you've read the manga, for a very long time, Keo actually does believe it is his fault that he killed her. That he did kill her. You later find out that his dad is not the greatest human, as are most of the parents in this series.
Right.
To which his dad said it was her fault that you ever came out of her. And he essentially did emotionally traumatize her as well, making her believe it was her fault for giving birth to the cursed child of the cat. So in this scene, Kazuma and Keo are walking, and these women are commenting that he is so young to take on this kid, and he just picks up Keo, doesn't really say much, and just holds him up high. And that is the moment that my tears just started going.
Mine kind of started going during the funeral scene, and then kept going.
Oh yeah,
till,
because
halfway through the next episode,
so,
it wouldn't stop.
Here's the thing, when Fruits Basket goes for the gut, it does not hold back.
No, it doesn't.
Like, this show is like, no, fuck you, sit down.
It's like, get your tissues,
Get your
shut
tissue,
up and
sit
watch
your ass
this.
down.
Hold my beer and watch this.
Hold my beer and watch this has never led to a good thing.
No.
Unless you're that guy who swam across the Hoover Dam and didn't die. That's an actual thing that happened this week.
I know.
I
We
didn't
know.
know this. What?
I'll send you this afterwards.
Oh
But
my
no,
God.
like, as somebody who, by the way, is also adopted, that scene does touch me in places, and it makes me cry. But I enjoyed Damien's Clark for how small it was, because for how little he's on screen in those flashbacks, he's got a lot of really heavy stuff to do. Because he triggers the kind of final arc of the show, going through what Keo's true form is and his trauma dealing with the death of his mother and his view on Tohru. And in the same way, I also really do like Julie Mayfield as Kyoko Honda, because she is funny and witty. Like, she kind of sounds like the cool mom on the block.
I mean, to be fair, she used to run with a gang back in the day.
Yeah, she was a Yankee. That was a thing.
That was a thing.
She actually, like, beats up Arisa's old gang to get her out of it.
Yeah.
Kyoko Honda was a fucking
remember-
badass.
I remember when I was in high school and after I saw the show, one of my friends had at least the first few volumes of the manga to let me borrow it and read it. And I remember reading that scene specifically where Kyoko beats up this gang to get Uotani out of there, and I'm like, dude, this mom is a badass.
Mom of the anime mom, like, she's in the pantheon of good anime moms with, like, Deku's mom from My Hero.
Yes.
But I enjoy the performance, even with how small it is, just because it is really heartwarming, and it feels like your own mom kind of talking to you a little bit. If they ever did remake the series, I do kind of hope she comes back to play at least the older version of her. Don't know much about the younger version, because there are flashbacks to Kyoko's middle school days and early high school days when she first has Tohru. But I think the performances are solid enough as they are.
Mm-hmm.
My big problem is they weren't too memorable. Like, I just finished the show again yesterday, and I barely remember either one. That's a little bit of a problem, but I mean, to be fair to them, Julie, considering she has more moments, she is very supportive. She does have a lot of insight, despite not, like, because she never graduated high school, she never got into college, she ran with a gang, she became a single parent after Toru's dad died when she was rather young, so there's a lot of things that Kyoko goes through, and you can tell she's still putting on a smile through all of it, but it's, compared to some of the other performances in the show, it's not memorable. Same with Damon Clark's Kazuma, especially same with Damon Clark's Kazuma, because he was only in like 3 episodes. And he did have a good amount of impact when it came to Keo and his story, and you can tell that he did rather well with those moments. But at the same time, Kazuma, I think, was one of those performances where I think the performance might be a little bit dated. It's not phenomenal by today's standards, but again, going back to if this was the early days when the show was originally released, I think it would be, people would think it's a phenomenal performance, but like, if you look at it now, it's not one of my favorites, and it could have gone probably a lot better if we're talking today's standards. But both these characters, they're good performances, but they're not memorable to me. That's my problem.
And considering that some of the Somas are only in a single episode, and yet are some of the more memorable characters, which we will get to. So,
especially the next one. I said the name and Hari was already like, oh god. Especially the next 3, because one of them steals the show, in at least Steph and mine's opinion, if our text messages mean anything. And one of them has literally, like, most people are like, what is one of the saddest anime episodes you've ever watched? And it's their debut. Are we ready to move on to these 3 characters?
Yes.
So moving on, we have the first 3 Zodiac members that we're going to talk about. They are Ritsu Soma, the monkey who basically screams and cross-dresses.
Yes.
It's about the best explanation of their character. But they are the son of the Hot Springs lady, who essentially cross-dresses because they feel more comfortable. But it may have been born out of the fact that their parents seem to always be apologizing for their child. Next up is Keo Soma, the tiger, whose introduction episode has... Oh god, I don't want to fucking cry right now. Like,
kids are assholes, ladies and gentlemen.
People are assholes.
People are assholes, but little kids can be
especially middle school kids. Middle schoolers are awful. I'm sorry. As somebody who was bullied for most of her school life, fuck other kids.
And perfect segue, because Kisa's introduction is basically she's being bullied by her classmates.
And she's lost the ability to talk and runs away from home.
Yep.
But she meets Tohru and starts turning around and learns how to believe in herself again, not only from Tohru, but from also other members of her family. And the other member of this group is Captain Snarky Pants, aka Keo Soma, who is my personal zodiac animal, the sheep, who is a snarky, sassy-mouthed middle schooler who thinks he is a coward for his inability to protect Kisa from not only being hurt at middle school, but at home because of his love for her. And he's also kind of a little douchebag. So,
I'm
Ritsu
sorry,
Soma,
Hiro makes me so happy, and
Hiro is
we'll bring
no
it
offense.
why.
Hiro Soma is best boy. Ritsu Soma is played by Mike McFarland, who has also played characters like Ranko Fujioka from Ouran High School Host Club, Kotaro Amon from Tokyo Ghoul, and Jian Kirstein in Attack on Titan. Kisa Soma is played by Kate Bristol, who was, I believe, 11 years old when she recorded the show.
Mhm.
Whoa, what?
Yeah.
She was a little girl. This was her
did not
first
know
anime
that.
role.
I did not know she was 11 at the time.
She was
I mean-
11 years old.
I mean, when we get to Hiro, I mean, I understand that, but I didn't know
Yes.
Kisa was 11 at the time.
She's also the voice of younger Keo Soma.
Mhm.
Okay.
I believe she's either younger Keo or younger Yuki.
Mhm.
I think she's actually younger Yuki. No, I've got it up. Don't worry.
She's the babby version of Yuki.
Yeah, she's also the younger version of Yuki. And then you have Hiro Soma, played by, in his anime debut, Aaron Dismuke. That's right, everybody! Aaron Dismuke, who
Mhm.
also plays Alphonse Elric in the original Fullmetal Alchemist, Leonardo Watch in Blood Blockade Battlefront, and Ian Fortunata in Trinity Blood. He was also the younger version of Akito in Fruits Basket. So, this is actually probably one of my favorite segments because we will never get to talk about Kate Bristol again.
Probably
Why
not.
not?
Actually, she's in Pokemon now.
Yes,
Oh,
she does
okay.
do Pokemon now.
Yeah, she moved out of the Texas area, and she does a lot of voices for Pokemon now.
She's
Okay.
also in theater. That's
Mm.
why. She does theater in New York now.
That explains it.
Um,
If I have to start this off by saying, if this isn't the birth of snarky Aaron Dismuke, I don't know what is. Because we've seen plenty of characters that recently.
but
where he's
Hiro
a
Soma
snarky
is the root of
jagoff,
all evil.
and this is the root of it. Oh my god, Aaron's such a little babby, and it's fucking.
And here's the thing,
adorable.
it actually holds up really well because he
It
is a little
does.
bag of shit.
It does
especially-
actually.
And here's the thing, he sounds his voice, his tone sounds different because Aaron Dismuke's voice is very distinct.
Yeah.
But even when he's little Akito, he has that like disgust holier than thou tone to him. But and he does it with Hiro, but it's different. Though my favorite kind of interaction with him is when Keo finds him. He's like, "What are you doing here? What do I have to have permission to sit here?
It's like,
And
do I,
here- in
do I
case
have
it's
to tell
just-
you
in-
everything?
Do I have to tell you everything what I'm doing? I'm gonna hit you, and I'm gonna call the police and say you're a child abuser." He's such
Again,
a
if
piece of
this
shit.
is not the birth of snarky Aaron Disney characters, I don't know what is.
Hardy, how do you feel about snarky Aaron, baby?
I liked it for the most part. I am kind of, I do sort of am kind of tough on Aaron's earlier work. That does include Full Metal. I think he sort of perfected himself over the course of Full Metal. He got a whole lot better. But I mean, a lot of it sounds like line reading, but you know, you could definitely tell that there was something there at the very beginning. And so I liked it for the most part. Mm-hmm. I especially like the writing when it comes to Hiro because he is so snappy.
It's great. He has
Yeah.
Piece of shit.
the writing makes him so snarky and witty. It's so hilarious. I love it.
And the thing too is when you watch that episode, you kind of really feel for this kid too, because
Yeah.
all he did was tell the head of his family that he liked another little girl, even if they might. Okay, welcome to Fruits Basket. They're fucking their cousins, but I'm sorry. There's no way to avoid this subject. It's in the family. Welcome to Alabama. Roll
Yep.
Tide. And now I've
Yes.
offended everybody in the state of Alabama.
Way to go.
Alabama, Japan.
Oh my god.
Welcome to Alabama, where Ancestry.com and Match.com are one and the same.
Oh my god. Oh
That is
no.
my favorite joke ever.
Oh no.
But and then he has to watch, all of a sudden he's in the hall just talking with her, just watch Akito throw Kisa like a frickin' sack of potatoes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's implied in the manga, he beat Kisa to a pulp.
We're-
Akito is a bad person.
Yeah,
Akito was
we're
an
going to get back to
asshole.
Akito in a little bit because I have words to say about him as well.
Oh, Lord.
But
So-
I like that he's kind of very loud and brash, especially opposed to Kate Bristol's Kisa,
Mhm.
who again, she was a little girl, and I think she really got the cute, like, very quiet child out of her, even for a little girl.
Right. Well,
Right.
the thing is with Kate's performance is that most of her episodes she says nothing because that's sort of Kisa's entire backstory, and so and in
I
the
think it only took one episode, really.
yeah
Yeah, because she
For
comes
her.
back a couple of times, and she's also younger Yuki. And
yeah
younger Yuki has some moments too.
yeah. Well, and so it's kind of hard to judge because even in both of the episodes that she's in, she really doesn't speak much, and so it's kind of hard to actually have a real.
I will say she is actually a fantastic actress. I own both. I own one season of Negima, and I do own the first season of Strike Witches. And her growth as an actress is seen in both that and especially as Lynette in Strike Witches,
Yeah.
as kind of like the second lead against, I believe, she's one of the bigger characters, I think, against like Kira Vincent Davis and like Jeremy.
Yeah, no,
Damn,
in
okay.
Strike Witches, yeah, she's like the second female lead.
Yeah, she's like third female lead. 'Cause
Oh,
Kira
right,
Vincent Davis is
right.
the second.
And I also
think
thought
Anastasia
she was
Munoz
really
is the third one.
I thought she was really good as the class rep in My Bride is a Mermaid as
I was
well.
gonna put that on there too, but I didn't know if the class rep was like a small character or not.
She has her moments actually, so it's not.
We're
I've
talking
never
Right,
about
seen that show.
At this point, we're talking about shows I've never seen before, so I'm just gonna sit here
Mhm.
and pleasantly play with my phone and look at Twitter.
Well, anyway,
you
no.
discuss.
My point is, it's kind of hard to have a real opinion about the performance in Fruits Basket because the character really doesn't say very much, but she's good at the scenes that she's in.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I will say though, I also appreciate that for the two youngest characters in the show, they actually use child actors for them.
Yes.
Right.
They don't really do as much these days. And I will say this though, if the show obviously gets remade or continues onward, Aaron's not going to be able to continue as Hero, obviously, and he would need to be replaced as he went through puberty, and unfortunately in boys it means you get a little deeper. Which is why I put Eon on there. If you've never seen Trinity Blood, you will get to see Aaron Disney go through puberty in real time.
yes,
Oh, yeah. That performance in of
That
itself.
show is to be seen just for that. So I would see somebody like maybe potentially a Terry Doty stepping in, or
Stepping in for who?
stepping in for Aaron to reprise
Okay.
as Hero,
Yeah.
or even maybe like probably Afia. Afia would actually be a really good choice.
I
in
mean,
that case.
if people complain about like it not being Aaron Disney, I mean, there's Maxie Whitehead.
Yes, Maxie Whitehead would be really good. Also, Aaron could be another character later on, preferably one of the guys in the student council that comes in the second part of the manga, who's the first year. But I mentioned this name before and already let out an audible groan when I said it.
Oh no.
Goddamn Ritsu.
No offense, it is Mike McFarlane's screeching hour.
Yes.
I do not like this character.
I mean,
I do not like him at
here's-
all.
Here's the thing. It's
Ugh.
like we take Bronca from Oron and then
And
like
turn it up to 11.
turn it up to 11. You knew exactly where I was going with this. It's like dial it up to 11. It's dear sweet lord. I imagine that after he recorded that episode and his lines and scenes and everything, that Mike had to like go on vocal rest for like 2 fucking weeks or something. Cause that
And here's the thing
Ugh.
too. At this point, he had this is probably one of the first characters like this for him, because I would imagine that the only other character he's really been playing at that point is
Master Roshi.
Master Roshi,
Yep.
the old man and the turtle, who clearly does not sound like Ritsu at all.
no,
No, not one
not
bit.
even slight.
Yeah, Ritsu's character is weird, and I don't remember them being that developed in the manga either, unfortunately. Though there is, when I bring up another character later, Ritsu does deliver one of my favorite lines in probably the latter half of the manga that made me laugh, like, unconditionally hard. But even, the one thing I did like is when Ritsu wasn't screeching, he has this kind of really great moment towards the end of the show where he talks about,
not having that much confidence in himself.
in himself because of
Right.
his parents always apologizing for him cross-dressing and how he did find comfort in it.
Well, I don't think it was just that. It was from the story, from what we find out, Ritsu isn't exactly good at anything.
Yeah, Ritsu kind of sucks at everything.
Compared to the other members of the Zodiac, where they have their own special talents
And are
their own
hot.
interests, and their own interests
And
and
are,
stuff
like,
that.
unconditionally fucking attractive.
Ritsu kind of is just like
There.
seeing quote unquote not necessarily as the bad apple of the bunch, because he's not a terrible
He's
person.
just kind of jack of all, master of none.
Basically, yeah.
Not even.
And with those serious moments, that's why I made the comparison of Ranka from Oron, because you can hear a similar vocal tone when Mike goes into the
There's
more serious
actually
moments.
does anybody remember back in the day when Funimation used to have their wed show with that one guy in Todd Habercorn?
What?
It was really long time ago. And
That one show
time,
in Todd Habercorn. Which
the
one are we
Funimation show.
I remember the Funimation show, but I don't remember Todd hosting it.
Yeah, Todd used to be on it. It was that one
I don't
guy with
remember
the
that.
glasses and then Todd sometimes. But one of the things they did one time was they asked if you wanted to ask a voice actor a question. So me, in my infinite smartassness, asked,
no.
"Hey, Meg McFarlane, why do you keep getting casted as cross-dressers?" And he reads it and his voice gets slowly deep, and then in the background, whoever the booth just fucking loses it. But I think that Kate and Aaron did a really good job. Mike
Mike is the
it's the
oddball.
character more than Mike, but
Yes,
Mike doesn't stop. He does screech a lot.
I think it's more of it is more mostly the fault of the character, because the
Yeah.
other big thing too is if Ritsu is any indication of like screeching and all that that stuff, Julie had to do the same thing as the spa hostess.
Right.
And
As
so
the
did
mom.
whoever played poor Sugar Ray's editor.
No,
Yeah.
I
No,
feel
that's
I,
Me.
I like. Everyone knows I like Mike McFarland a whole lot as an actor, but this particular role just irritated the stuffing out of me. I do not like this character. I did not like that episode at all. It just. Ugh.
I mean, I will admit, because there's the whole genial thing in Mom and Ritsu. I mean, I can tell they're related. That's so easy to tell. But
I just like
Yeah.
how Toru's like, oh, you're
you're Ritsu, right?
a guy.
As much as I love Mike McFarlane and some of the other roles and work he's done, this isn't probably one of the first ones I would talk about when you ask me about like notable Mike McFarlane roles.
Right.
Yeah, and just a fun fact before we move on, he actually gets together with Sugar Ray's editor.
Really?
Really?
Yes, in the in the
Damn,
manga, he
okay.
gets together with me, who is
Nice.
played by Cynthia Crayons.
Nice.
That's right, Master Roshi and Chi-Chi hook up.
Oh damn!
I
don't
fruit
tell
Dragon Ball for everybody.
Don't
Well, at
tell
least he'd
Goku.
be a better husband than Goku.
Ooh. I'm pretty sure a girl's vibrator would be a better husband than Goku. Fuck you, fight me.
No.
Speaking of fuck you, fight me, let's move on to Hatsuharu, Ayame, Momiji, and Kagura.
Oh lord,
Oh boy,
the fun ones.
I know who Hardy already has a problem with. So, to go over the characters, Ayame or Ayame is the Zodiac Snake, as we've mentioned, and he is also Yuki's older brother, who is a flamboyant piece of shit, who's overly dramatic and runs a shop. I think they describe it. Hatsuharu describes it as a shop where dreams come true. Where in fact he runs a men's lingerie store.
Yes.
And makes fetish clothing, along with a girl named Mine, who, if you have to ask, yes, they hook up at the end. Ayame is not actually gay. Plot twist of the century.
Oh my god.
And then there is Kagura, who is the zodiac boar and a fucking yandere. She was obsessed with marrying Keo to the point where, as a child, she held a rock over his head and threatened to murder him. However, her love may not be all what it seems, and may be joined from a sense of pity over Keo's status as the cat, and something relating to his beads on his wrist. Hatsuharu is the zodiac ox, who claims his first love was Yuki Sohma, after he met him one day and yelled at him and got all of his feelings out because all the adults thought he was stupid for being the cow and letting the rat trick him. His thing is that he looks like a bad boy, but he's only a first year in middle school, and he's got a split personality called Black Haru, who will wreck a motherfucker faster than anyone can blink.
He'll wreck a motherfucker, and oh my god.
We're getting to that scene.
He will give you the sex. He'll give you the sex. And
he won't give you the sex, but he'll show you that it's all natural.
Oh, yeah.
Which, if you didn't laugh at this, you're a fucking liar. Just that whole sequence. He didn't! Oh my god, he did!
No, the context...
Shots of the smuggest look on his face.
The context...
Tohru, how did he do it? I'll show you anytime.
And they're like, no! No, really the context is, on the first day of the new term, Haru
Kyle
and
Haybear doesn't
Momiji,
believe that his hair is black and white.
For Haru and Momiji, it's their first day of high school, and the student council president, he's
Kyle Haybear.
He's calling Momiji out for dressing in a girl's uniform, and he's also calling Haru out for having different colored hair when it is his natural hair.
Because
and
he's a fucking cow.
The president is like, there's no way you can convince me that is your natural
Takes
hair
him,
color.
drags him into men's room, closes the door, couple seconds, opens the door.
At this point, it's Black Haru. All Black Haru. Drags him in the men's room. You see them gone for like 2 seconds. They come out, and the president's like, that is a very convincing argument. And he's like,
And then Yuki and Keo kind of realize that he showed him his pubes.
Yes.
And then Momiji Soma is the happy-go-lucky zodiac rabbit who actually has a heart of gold and trauma as deep as the Mariana Trench. Holy Jesus. Yeah, fun fact, actually, in high school, for my senior graduating quote, used one of the quotes from his speech about memories.
Really?
Yep.
Nice.
That was my high school yearbook quote, was about memories that you don't want to forget. But to go over the actors who played them, Ayame. P.S. My sides went into orbit the second he opened his mouth, and I knew it was coming. Is Christopher Savage.
Ooh, Kaiba boy.
No,
that's somebody else later.
I know.
No, if you thought that if you thought Yuri on Ice was the first time that Chris Savage had to be a flamboyant motherfucker, you are wrong.
He plays Chris Giametti in Yuri on Ice. Joyce, the second Ayame opened his mouth, I was like, oh my god, it's Chris.
Yes.
And I just started crying.
I was so excited.
He's also Vegeta, Better Dad Piccolo, everybody, and the fucking dog in Dragon Ball Z. As well as Son Hak in Yona of the Dawn.
Oh god.
Kagura is played by Meredith McCoy, who also plays a couple of the Yuki fangirls, actually.
Oh, okay.
She's also Android 18 in Dragon Ball Z, Botana in Kitty Grade, and Fujiko Mine in Lupin the Third, Missed by a Dollar, and she's also the one who sings the opening for the dub.
I think she's Fujiko for quite a few of the.
She's Fujiko in a lot of Funimation stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then Hatsuharu is played by our director, Justin Cook, to which I yelled, Yusuke Urameshi is a cow.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Because when we went to Funimation, Justin Cook goes, hey guys, I hope you guys are all giving her hard questions when Lauren's giving us a round. And we're in the car, we're going to the car, and Amon just goes, Yusuke Urameshi, talk to me. He's also everyone's favorite man, Get Hard, Kirishima Eijiro in My Hero Academia.
Yes.
And he's also the voice of my personal anger, Dietrich von Longeren from Trinity Blood fuck you. Fun fact, by the way, young Hatsuharu is played by Joshua Huber, which I'm assuming is one of Chuck Huber's many children. And Momiji is played by Kimberly Grant, who does not have a lot of credits to her name, besides Baba's ghost in Dragon Ball and Rinku in Yu Yu Hakusho.
Okay.
Mhm.
So
Everybody back away and let Hari go.
So definitely 2 out of the 4 here. We don't really see much of them after this one, probably.
Yeah, only 2 of these guys are gonna come, and that being Chris and obviously Justin.
Yeah. Oh,
Hardy, go at it.
God, where do I begin? Momiji's... I just do not like this performance at all. I just don't.
Really?
It's... there's something... Well, first of all, the way Kimberly plays him does not sound the slightest bit like a little boy at all. It sounds completely feminine. That's kind of the point when an actress has to play as a young male character, is that they have to make them at least sound somewhat like a little boy. Momiji doesn't. Momiji sounds like a little girl. And I don't know if that was what they were intending to, but it's just he sounds completely and totally feminine, and it sounds a lot like there's a lot of line reading in this performance. One thing that really specifically annoyed me was when Momiji starts whining and he goes, wah, wah.
Yeah, I will admit that also gets on my nerves.
That is just, like, there's no emotion to it. It's just flat and it's lifeless. And I do not care for this performance. And I like Momiji as a character because of his backstory, which is just one of the stronger parts of the show, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But I mean, I was very underwhelmed by the voice acting here.
Yeah, I can kind of agree on that too. Like, even though I did feel like the voice wasn't that too feminine. I mean, considering Momiji, he's not only this happy-go-lucky kid, his mom is also originally a foreigner from overseas that his dad met.
Mm-hmm.
So, kind of thinking in my mind a little bit there, maybe there's a bit of like foreigner aspects to Momiji to a sense, but I can agree. To me, the performance for Grant as Momiji was rather 50-50. Like, I can agree that the whining just like I didn't have as hard of a time with it as you probably did, but it also wasn't one of the highlights of that performance to me. But I feel like, in Kimberly Grant's case, where she kind of shined with Momiji the most was those serious moments, rather than the always happy-go-lucky and the way he hit me, that kind of shit.
You kind of did a really crazy spot-on impression.
Yeah, that sounded like really accurate, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah. But I think more of the dramatic moments, and with Momiji's backstory in particular, I think that might be the highlight of her performance, if anything, to me.
Right.
But
yeah, by the way, Momiji's backstory, if you're not expecting it, kind of is like, whoa, bitch!
oh, yeah. All things
Because
considered.
it comes out of nowhere.
Kind of does, yeah.
Yeah, because, like, the show kind of hints at a lot of skeevy, downright abusive and emotionally manipulative shit.
Yeah.
But, like, if you're not I think it's episode 14. If you're not expecting the end half of episode 14,
Yeah.
prepare for a sideswipe.
And this is,
Yeah.
and that in particular speaks to the strength of the writing as well. Again, when his mother says that one line, and I think you know the one I'm talking about, it just hits.
I wish that thing never came out of me.
Yes, it hits like
Yeah.
a wrecking ball.
It does. Because the story, basically, with Momiji, because as Momiji describes it after he tells his story to Tohru, because he learned there are 2 types of parents
In the Zodiac.
in the Zodiac. Either the ones who become so overly protective of their kids,
Kisa's mom.
like Kisa's mom, for example, or the ones that reject them completely, which would be Momiji's mom.
And then there's kind of the shit that Yuki's mom pulls in the manga, which is fucking awful. Or what Akito's mom does. Oh boy.
Hooray!
But no, like, and the worst thing is too, like, one of the other heart-wrenching scenes is just Momiji's dad hugging him, going, "Mama has to forget you, but don't worry, Dad's gonna make up for her twice as much."
Yep.
And you can kind of see that his dad really doesn't.
Yeah, not really.
Because if you watch the show, Momiji's always kind of hanging around with Hattori, who we'll get to in a little bit.
Yeah.
But by the way, to segue into this, if you've seen the episode where he's dressed as a girl, to which I will agree to a lot with what Steph said, and I will agree that the wah kind of noises did get on my nerves. And I do hope that if the show inevitably gets remade, I would love to see Lucy Christian come in to be Momiji, because I know it would be really similar to Honey from Oran. But it was
Lucy
really funny was when Oran was coming out, the first thing my thought of Momiji was oh, he's a lot of Honey he's a lot like Momiji, but more comedic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that would make sense if you had Lucy coming in.
But here's the thing: is that as the series goes on, because the series does let Keo, Tohru, and that group them going through high school, is Hatsuharu's little fantasy about Momiji getting hot is true. Momiji is a very attractive young man.
Oh boy.
So is Hatsuharu, to which Justin Cook is kind of one of my favorite performances in the show. Because
boy.
he gets to do Hatsuharu has two very distinct modes. Black Haru and White Haru. And White Haru is very soft-spoken and very calm and kind of dopey sounding.
A little dopey, yes.
He's a little dopey sounding, but the second it switches to Black Haru, I would be like, okay, this kid's gonna fucking fight me.
Yeah.
Until his eyes bleed and his arms cut, and he's gonna turn into the Black Knight from fucking Monty Python.
He's gonna choke a fucker. He's gonna choke a bitch. Motherfucker's gonna choke a bitch.
I think one of my favorite moments of introducing any character in the show goes to when they do actually introduce Hatsuharu.
Yes.
And there's these two older girls like thinking he's going to go clubbing, and you see him like get on a bike, and it's literally just a little bicycle with a dinghy bell.
That's great. Because
and then he trips Keo so he can fight him.
Because he got fucking lost trying to find Shigure's house to try and find them. Hatsuharu has no sense of direction at all.
Because he's a cow.
Yes. But
no, he's literally a cow, guys.
Yes, he is. No, I can agree that because Justin, he does have to play these two very distinct sides of Haru. And,
I can't believe Yusuke Urameshi is a cow.
You're
a Meshi!
I do enjoy...
Cow.
Shut up! I do enjoy both sides for, like, their respective personalities, though I kind of have to give it more to Black Haru.
Yeah.
Because Black Haru was funny as hell, and it's, like, one of the more, I don't want to say typical, but probably one of the more common type of performances you usually see Justin pull. White Haru is different. Very different, but he is kind of dopey sounding. He is a little bit dopey sounding, and I didn't 100% get into White Haru on that end. Black Haru, I was just like, I'm done.
Yeah.
You win.
Yeah. Justin Cook has always been one of my favorite, an underrated voice actor, and I really liked to see him do bigger roles. But he tends to stay sort of behind the scenes most of the time, unless when it comes to Yu Yu Hakusho. So I think that has been his only lead role so far, if I'm not mistaken on that. He's done important characters, I know, in other shows.
He has done major characters, yeah, because he's been like major characters in like Beck, and he has a pretty decent sized role as
Eijiro
Kirishima, my hero.
Right.
But yeah, I think Yu Yu Hakusho might be the only lead role that we know of that Justin's ever done.
Yeah, I'd like to see him do more lead roles, because he's always been a very good actor, even in the early days of Funimation. He was one of the standout performers. So
I think the problem on that end really is because since Justin Cook does a lot more producing nowadays,
Yeah.
it could potentially cause a conflict of interest.
Gotcha.
That's probably what I'm thinking might be the big reason why he doesn't do really any leads. To be fair though, there have been directors in the past that will give themselves the lead role, to be fair. But
Mike Evans.
in terms of like a producer standpoint, which is like above all of them, I mean,
Yeah.
I can see a conflict of interest being a problem. But I do wish you had the chance to do more lead roles. That'd be kind of fun.
I will say this, Haru does get kind of more of a role in the manga because obviously they introduce. If you've never watched the show, you never actually get to meet Izuzu Rin or Rin Soma, who is the horse, or Kureno Soma, who is the rooster. Black Haru nearly beats the shit out of Akito because he throws his girlfriend out a window.
Oh. Again, reminding everyone that Akito is not a very good person.
Akito is an asshole.
But that's also who Haru hooks up with in the end is Izuzu. But Haru gets to have more of these kind of moments in the manga, which I would like to see. And then moving on to another, I guess, kind of another bigger player in the story, especially towards the beginning and the end, is Kagura. Or Kagura if you watch the show, because they don't pronounce it right.
Right.
Oh boy.
God, I don't know how to feel about her performance, because I think she gets the yelling part right, but I don't feel like she hits the quiet parts right.
Yeah, that's my problem with it too. Like,
and especially in the second to last episode.
Yeah.
I think Meredith McCoy's performance of Kagura, if we're going by pronunciation terms by the dub. Kagura!
That poor fucking boy.
I think for me this is probably my weakest performance. I have to give it here because honestly I think even the yelling that she has to do, I don't think I was really sold on her performance that
like
much
you weren't sold on the fact that she was gonna murder this motherfucker for living in a house with another girl.
No, like not just that, but those quiet moments. I feel like in general I wasn't really sold on it. And it's kind of hard sometimes. It was a little bit rough to sometimes sit through those scenes with Kagura because of that, honestly.
Yeah. No, I've always I've always kind of not really cared for Meredith McCoy in general as an actress. She's better playing the tough big girl roles like Fujiko and Android 18, but even so, I've never really been sold on her acting. I think she's gotten better now that she is back playing 18 again, and she's had time to really...
Okay, she is back as 18 in Super.
Yeah, in Super she's back, because in Kai it's Colleen. But yeah, now that she's playing 18 again, I think she has gotten a lot better. But yeah, I too wasn't really sold on her as Kagura, because it goes against the type that she usually plays. And I like to see actors go against type a lot, which I'm going to get to with Ayami especially.
Oh God!
But yeah, in Meredith's case, I've never really been that fond of her as an actress in general.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind if they remade the series, her potentially coming back, because she was the original cast person, and I would rather keep kind of as much of the original cast. Obviously, aside from the few characters, due to certain details, like obviously Aaron's voice changing.
Sure.
I think the big
Kate
thing
not being able to come back in and record, because there are other moments that I think come in the manga later on that she could do potentially with more experience than she had at recording this point. The one scene I really wanted to point out where, she doesn't nail the quiet moments is in episode 24, and it's between her and Yuki.
Yes.
And it's when she's going through, and it's a very dark and very somber scene.
Yeah.
It's them both kind of coming to this moment where they've all seen Keo's true form, and in Kagura's case, it's the second time she's seen it. They kind of imply what happened in the flashbacks, which is that when they were little kids, Keo did used to get to go outside until Kagura took his beads.
Oh.
Yep.
Don't take the beads.
No.
Which turned him into the monster, and he ran away, and his mother therefore began to keep constantly checking and checking and checking, which, as you know, starts her own fears of Keo as this monster's child, and his own anger and resentment back that he believes he's come to terms with her being afraid of him, but he still wanted to share his experience with her, but we'll get to that when we get to this character. But when she's going through the box, she's kind of talking to Yuki about how he can't go out into the rain and comfort Keo because they understand what the curse is and what it is, and it's Tohru who is the only one who can say it and save him from himself.
Mm-hmm.
And while she's saying this to him, compared to who plays Yuki, who does respond back, where that performance of that character was at its peak in that moment.
Yep.
She is not at her peak where she needs to be. Because again, during this last stretch of 3 episodes, I will say that every actor who speaks does get on their A game.
Yes. I can agree with this.
Some characters get to their S, like an S+ level.
Mm-hmm.
But when she's going through the box to repair her little cat-looking backpack, she pulls out an orange thimble and says, "Oh, this is Keo's color." But you can't really tell if there's sadness, joy, heartbreak, melancholy in there. Because you can't tell by the lighting in the scene because it's fucking dark and grim as shit.
Yeah.
So you need to be able to tell by the character's voice. And I don't feel like she gets there. On the other side of that spectrum, you have somebody who nails every part of their character and is completely playing against the type that, for one, is established for this actor, but will be what establishes him 16 years later in Chris as Ayame, who is, like, throwing everything balls to the walls and it works.
Yeah.
Again, like I said when we were introducing this, if you thought Yuri on Ice was the first time Chris Sabat got to play a flamboyant motherfucker, you are so wrong. And I love it!
Yes. I remember talking about Chris Sabat being cast as All Might in My Hero Academia, and how originally I was kind of mispleased by that, because he always gets cast in as that type. And this is the reason why. Because I like to see actors play against type. I want to see Chris Sabat be a flamboyant, crazy, over-the-top nutcase. And
Metrosexual.
It's just amazing!
this is... If this dub had been cast in recent days, this would have totally been J. Michael Tatum. I mean...
Oh, more than likely, yes.
Yeah.
This
And I don't think it would have worked.
And it would have worked, but it would have been, again, it would have been
It
type.
wouldn't be memorable.
Yeah.
I was like, it wouldn't be as memorable as what Sabat did with Ayame.
Yeah. This is probably my favorite performance in the entire dub, and it's just...
Yay!
I think it also comes with how, for as despicable as a person Ayame is, because he's kind of a horrible person.
He's kind of a bad person.
He's kind of a bad person. Because in his past, he never really reached out and took Yuki's hand when Yuki needed him most, and he wants to repair the relationship between him and his brother.
Yeah.
Him and his brother. And he does kind of get this really awesome moment in the manga later on where Yuki's mom shows back up and has Yuki's future all planned for him. And it's obviously not what he wants. Ayame just comes in and shuts her the fuck down.
Mm-hmm.
Because he is a good brother. He's just kind of weird.
Kind of
Can
weird.
we just talk about the part where he just comes running out in a fucking man's wedding dress at one point. And doesn't think anything of it. Neither does his assistant, who is as wackadoo crazy as he is.
I think one of the other funniest moments that I've heard from Sabat, dear sweet lord, the story about that class trip where a group of boys went to the red light district and he had
direct your questions up to me.
he defended the boys in front of the teachers and the parents.
And all the teachers think he's fucking wacko.
Oh my god, that was amazing. Like
That and when he
when
does the speech about the hair.
Yes.
Whenever he goes on really weird, fun tangents like that, that is the highlight for me, for Sabin and his portrayal of Ayame,
Mhm.
because it's so rare to see him go like that, and when you do see Sabin go in that direction, it's the best thing ever. And
Mhm.
coming
And that's
off
one
of,
of-
like, because I haven't seen Fruits Basket in a couple of years, so
Yeah.
so obviously I've seen Yuri on Ice like fairly recently, at least in the last year or so, and then coming back here is
Such
like,
a treasure in that show. I don't care what Gigi fucking says.
and like coming back to this, it's like, dude, because I forgot that this is what it sounded like. Like this is what
Exactly
this is
like
how
Chris
he
without an accent.
yeah, this is how he sounded as Ayame, and I'm like, shit. I'm like, oh my god, it's the comedic timing is there, the voice is there, the personality is there. I just love every single bit about that performance, honestly.
I also love when he's the little snake and he just keeps going in Tohru's clothes.
Oh my god.
And one of my other personal favorite moments is when he gets transformed at the lake, and they just fucking fling him into the lake, and nobody's gonna go get him because Shigure is too afraid, and Hattori's like, I'm as done with him as you are.
Hattori's
So
like, I'm done with this motherfucker.
Are we ready to go?
Yep.
Yes.
Speaking of Hattori,
Ooh, yes.
we have, oh boy, this is the fun part of this.
Oh,
Is the
oh
god!
Lord.
If you have never seen Fruits Basket, I will give you one guess as to what scene everybody shows you to show you about the show, and that is Hattori's backstory.
9 times out
Which
of 10,
is-
yeah.
9 times out of 10. So you have Hattori Soma, or Hattori, who is the Soma family dragon, as well as the doctor, whose job it is to not only take care of the family and the head of the family, Akito, but to erase the memories of anybody who's found out about the curse and cannot keep it a secret. And then, oh boy!
This motherfucker.
Let's talk about everybody's least favorite character.
Oh boy.
Akito Soma, the head of the family and the Soma family god. They are a vengeful, evil person who will beat, hit, emotionally and verbally scar to keep their curse in line.
And even resort to hair pulling.
Oh yeah.
Hair pulling, smashing ceramics into someone's eye.
Yup.
Eesh.
By the way, Hattori is pretty much
Blind,
in
nearly
his left
blind in
eye.
one of his eyes because of this.
Motherfucker, I
which-
want to punch motherfucking Akito, man.
Yeah, if you ever want an explanation of how good anime can be with color and editing and dialogue,
Yeah, Hattori's backstory.
and you want to show somebody the scene where Hattori asks Akito for the ability to marry his girlfriend, and Akito's reaction, because it is superb even 16 years later.
Yes.
Hattori Soma is played by Kent motherfucking Detective Man Williams,
Yay!
and Akito is played by Chad Klein. Kent Williams plays characters like Chardon Flamberg in Black Cat, Supreme Kai in Dragon Ball Super, and Azazel in Rage of Bahamut Genesis. Chad Klein plays Romania in Hitalia, The Beautiful World,
Oh, I didn't know.
Scotch in One Piece, and Scusa in 91 Days.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Yep, he is the FBI agent.
Oh, fuck, okay.
Before I start talking about this,
Okay.
and I've been waiting to say this,
Oh, I know where this is
if
going.
you've
You told me
noticed-
already.
I have been using the term they to describe Akito. If this show was to be remade, Chad Klein would not be able to play Akito because Akito is actually female.
Plot twist.
Yeah, they are actually female. It's not revealed towards later on in the manga. And a lot of the reason that the way they act the way they do is a combination of her mother's own abuse towards her and her own jealousy towards her own child, as well as Akito's fear of the curse ending and being ultimately alone. However, it does not excuse the copious amounts of physical and verbal abuse
Oh,
tossed
boy.
at the family, it explains their actions. It does not excuse it. They are a horrible, awful person. Like I said, they've done things from beating a small child to throwing a motherfucker out the window and nearly stabbing Tohru at one point.
Yeesh.
She does in fact stab Kureno, the rooster, in the back.
Ow.
And disables him and makes him walk with a permanent limp for the rest of his life.
Jeez.
That being said, I want to talk about Hattori second. One,
Okay.
because he's actually my favorite character upon rewatch. And there's a lot of things in the series that you kind of pick up on about his character through his performance and also his actions. Chad Klein's Akito doesn't always work in the very quiet moments where he's trying to be menacing.
Mhm.
But when Akito starts resorting to violence and insanity, he nails it.
Yeah, that's what I know. And sadly, you don't even really see that until the very last episode.
You see it you see it when he... To me, the first time he nailed it is when he's just smashed the ceramic into Hattori's eye and starts blaming Kana and says, this is your fault. You did this to him. This is all your fault.
That's definitely a big, like, hint or indicator. But yeah, the freak out at the end of the series when
she fucking throws Shigure and Yuki like a foot each.
But yeah, I have to agree there as well, where the quieter moment, I think one of the times where I had a very difficult time believing it was when Akito was at their school, and what was it? It was just as he met Tohru and Yuki interrupts them, and Akito kind of just whispers in his ear, like, I can put you in that dark room again, that room. I didn't really believe it. I didn't believe that. I believed Yuki's reaction, but I didn't really believe the threat from Akito. And so yeah, like, some of the quieter moments that Chad had to play, I couldn't really 100% get behind them. But yeah,
I would kill to see Chad play like a fucking sociopath,
Dude.
psycho,
dude,
in a show now.
Oh my god, that'd be amazing. Cause yeah, I also agree. Like, when he freaks out, he freaks the fuck out, and it's pretty damn, and it can be pretty damn scary at points. But yeah, I definitely would agree. Like, the quieter moments I wasn't fond of, but freak out moments, oh boy.
Mm-hmm.
See, my thing is, before we move on to Hattori, if they were to redo the show, I don't know who I'd put there. Honestly, I kind of put, like, my instant thought is to actually give it to Terry Doty. Because I feel like Terry Doty can nail the psychopath and still sound masculine.
Yeah. I would probably go with Lydia Mackey. Honestly.
She's like in her 20s, though.
I see.
She's like maybe a couple years younger than Shigure, Ayame, Hattori, and Kureno, who I think are all in their late 20s.
Yeah. I would probably peg, I would say Terry, but I would say Leah Clark might be able to pull it off. And then if we really want to go, if we really want to go for a challenge, let's go with Afia Yu.
That would actually be really fucking.
That would be great.
Specifically Leah Clark.
Like, I would love to see Afia get the chance to pull off a very different character than what we usually see her as. Honestly.
Yeah.
And I think Akito would be one of the a perfect example of, like, someone straying away from their normal type of character.
Yeah, and then moving on to finally to get to move on to Hattori, Hattori, if you watch the show. I never knew Kent Williams could play a Bishonen doctor. Did you guys?
And then Fruits Basket happened.
No, Fruits Basket happened before the rest.
Well, fair, but still.
My one thing is, I feel like he speaks very fast.
Yeah.
Anybody else kind of catch that?
A little bit. A tiny bit at points, but not, it's not, I don't think it's frequent, but I feel like it did happen couple times. And I think that's more of a product of, again, this being an early dub and trying to figure out how how dubbing works.
Yeah,
You know what I
how to fit memories and lip flaps, but
Yes.
I feel like he really nails how kind of sad Hattori is, because face it, this guy had to erase the memories of, at one point, a bunch of young children.
Yeesh.
Because they hugged Yuki by accident. He had to erase Momiji's mother's memories.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And he had to do his own fiance's.
Oh.
Yeah.
For the sake of... I'm sorry. Just watching the poor woman go through what she did, because they said that she shut down as a person.
She shut down.
She shut down under it. And it's implied that's the reason why he's very close to Momiji and babysits him a lot, is because he feels guilty.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he really gets it, but he also really gets the annoyed at his two best friends vibe. I think one of the, what was it? If you tell them, I will tell every embarrassing story about you since you were 4.
Yeah, Hattori, Ken Williams basically had to play like the straight man between him, Chris's Ayame, and then Shigure when we got to him. And my god.
Shigure.
Fucking
Shigure.
Ugh. Yeah, and I think Kent really pulls it off well. My thing with Kent Williams is, in this entire show, since the first time I watched it when I was like 14, 15 years old until now, there have really been 2 performances that are so memorable to me that I can remember to this day. Kent Williams is one of them. And especially because it is still one of the most memorable. It's very different for him to play this type of character. And like, even especially watching the story about him and Kana, his girlfriend Beyonce.
Oh god.
That is still one of the most.
Bad.
That is still one of probably the most beautiful and heart-wrenching stories that I've ever seen portrayed in anime, and a lot of it is due to Kent Williams and his performance of Hattori.
Because I feel like when he retells the story by that point, he's very detached from it too.
Yeah.
At that point.
Yes.
Like, it's not as if he's reliving his own, because it is, I think it says it's like one of the first times he's dreamed about it in years.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But he seems very detached from his own memories of what happened.
Because, yeah, a little bit later on when they're at the lake house, and when Ayame shows up, he happens to have pictures of Kana's wedding. And Hattori doesn't want to look at them. Because he's put that behind him.
He's moved on.
So.
He says he's moved on.
But yeah,
I don't think
Ken Williams'
really
Hattori is still to this day like one of the performances I remember him most for. Like, if you were like, it's one of those cases where it's like the opposite end of Mike McFarlane's Ritsu. If you were to ask me about memorable performances of Ken Williams, one of the first ones I would probably say to you would be Hattori.
And I really hope that if they ever did remake the series, that they would bring him back in to reprise it.
They better bring him back. I'll be pissed.
Because I enjoy the fact that it's not like some crazy old guy. It's like some 27-year-old doctor who's actually really attractive.
Mm-hmm.
Hardy, how do you feel though?
Yeah, I mean, it was good. I liked it. So.
It's really nice. I like it.
Very nice.
Mm-hmm.
Very nice.
Very nice. High five.
High five.
High five.
Yeah.
So moving on from them, we have Arisa Uetani and Saki Hanajima. Arisa Uetani is a former Yankee, Toru's mom.
Gang member, yeah.
Yeah, gang member Yankee. It's a Yankee. They say Yankee specifically.
They use the term Yankee, yeah.
Yankee. At one point, the little Yuki fan club girls are sassing Tohru, and she literally busts out a metal pipe and smashes it on
out of nowhere.
And the girl goes like, "Aren't metal pipes all against school rules? What are you gonna do about it, bitch?" And then Saki Hanajima is a girl who is Toru's goth best friend, who has powers over electric waves, and is kind of psychic.
Mm-hmm.
Who is very soft-spoken and kind of motherly, and also it's kind of implied she knows about the curse, because she's always like a cat and a rat towards Keo and Yuki. Arisa is played by Parsa Fakiri, who is also characters like Bola in Dragon Ball GT, Carrie in Case Closed, and Rita Vershino in Kitty Grade. And Saki Hanajima is played by Daphne Green, who is Maron in the Dragon Ball Z series, which was the only other role that was listed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think between the two, when I was looking it up too, I think Daphne only has like 1 or 2.
Yeah, and she was also the singer who sung the original Dragon Ball ending and the Blue Gender ending.
Oh, okay.
So, feelings for these characters, I will say I really liked one of them, and I really was kind of on the fence about the other.
Yeah.
Unless you both hated them.
I didn't care for either one of them. I think near the end, when they have their emotional moments, it gets better. But in Hana's case specifically, it's such a line read. There's no emotion. I know she's supposed to be sort of this emotionless sort of doll, but I mean,
she's quiet, not emotionless. She does feel things.
Right, she's very quiet and subdued, but it just sounds so bland, and it's nothing. There's just nothing there. And when you listen...
If this was recorded today, this would totally be Brina Plenty.
Yeah, because Brina can actually do characters like that, but you can feel something there. In Parisa, what is her name? Parisa Fakir's case, it's just... I just didn't care for it. It's just, oh no, I'm not going to allow that to happen. And even in what's it, Arisa, she also felt very bland and wooden to me. I just didn't. Yeah, these performances would not fly in a modern day dub.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I don't, yeah, you're right. They wouldn't really fly on a modern dub at this point. And I do have to agree with your thoughts on Daphne as Hana. Like, her and I think, God, who was it? Meredith as Kagura.
Mm-hmm.
Those two were the biggest ones I had issues with, though Kagura was, like, straight up,
I feel but Meredith's improvement as an actress herself.
Here's the thing, I haven't really seen anything that Meredith's done but Fruits Basket.
Mm-hmm.
I have nothing else to judge her on as an actress.
Right.
So
well, for the longest time, she
quit
voice acting for the longest time, and has just only recently come back to it with Super. So
I haven't watched Super, so there's the problem. But kind of going back to Hana and Uo. Hana and Daphne, I'm in similar camp as you, Hardy. I'm not a fan of it. I don't necessarily think it's a problem of it just like sounding like a line read, because there were twinges of emotion. I get where they were going with in terms of direction for Hana's character, but Hana's not that stoic all the time. She doesn't have to sound that way all the time, and I think
especially in the second to last episode.
Yeah, especially second to last episode.
Hana uses tackle. It was effective.
Uo, Parisa's not my favorite either as Uo. And if they were to redo the show and do the dub again, she would more than likely be replaced.
Yeah.
But
honestly, I wouldn't mind Tabitha Wright. Maybe not.
Maybe. God, who would be good as Uo?
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like it's the Brina Trina race for Hanajima Saki.
Maybe.
For Hana, it's the race.
I mean, Elizabeth Maxwell might be able to pull it off because she's...
Oh, dude, holy shit, that'd be great!
Because she's played a teenager in Fuka, so I feel like Elizabeth Maxwell would have fun with Uo. But,
she was also really good in Akira the Exile.
Yes, that too. But anyway, yeah, Parisa, like, I don't dislike it completely like you do, Hardy. Like,
It's not the best, but it's also not the worst.
Yeah, it's kind of in the middle for me.
Right.
Like, It's
like it's wooden and kind of stiff at points,
Yes.
but when she needs to turn it on, at least she can turn it on. And I
Yeah.
feel like Daphne does too, unlike Meredith in the second to last episode, because essentially they actually fight for once in the
graveyard.
Hana uses tackle. It was effective.
yeah. But
Like every time Arisa tries to comfort her, no!
don't do
Fucking
it.
decks her
She
out.
has to do this herself.
It's herself.
Like
I was gonna say, one of the best ways to show how Hana's kind of voice is weaker is watch the episode with, where the Yuki fan club goes to her house.
oh yeah, okay.
And all of the Yuki fan club girls sound 10 times better. Fun fact, Jamie Markey is one of her, and that was her first anime role.
Yep.
Mhm.
She's the club president.
Mitoko, who talks to herself, and Yuki thinks it's cute. But at least I could see Uo's performance, like, it gets by for the day, but I
Right.
would agree with you guys where it doesn't really fly in today's day and age. And then Hana is very stiff and probably one of the weakest, if not the weakest performance in the show.
Yeah.
But I think they're good, but they're not, especially with the next 4 characters we're talking about
God,
at
yeah.
this point being
Yeah.
individuals. They're gonna be a lot weaker than even the weakest one of them.
Mhm.
I would even say, like, even characters, even only being in an episode, like a character like Hiro has a very memorable performance.
Yeah.
Right.
Or just yeah.
Yeah.
So are we good to move on to the next character?
To the main 4, yeah.
To the main 4.
I'm excited now.
Speaking of the main 4, let's throw a bone and get our friend, the dog. It is Shigure Soma,
High school
who
girls,
is the year
high
of the
school
dog
girls,
and a
1, 2, 3,
chivalrous-
high school girls.
high school girls, high school girls. My friend Shantae in high school would cheer that as she walked along the halls.
Oh,
In high school, mind you.
oh boy.
Shigure Soma is the Soma family. He is the dog in the Zodiac. He is also a novelist, sometimes of fine novels and sometimes of the Media Blasters fine smuttery variety. Media Blasters premieres of fine pornography. No, we are not sponsored.
And
please don't
Shigure
make
is
me
a
watch hentai.
fucking troll if I'd ever seen one.
And Shigure is also probably everyone's first introduction to the anime troll. So Shigure is played by John Bergmeyer, our head writer. John Bergmeyer plays everyone's favorite Exceed, Freed from Fairy Tail.
Wait, X.
Fuck you, fight me, he's Loxus's Exceed.
Okay, I was X and like
And
wait.
his boyfriend. He is also Ebisu in Noragami, ripping out all of our hearts
Ah.
and smashing on it.
And exploding
also
into a giant blood bag.
I too like when everybody turned into Tang and Evangelion. Let's repeat that. Please tell me you've all seen the AMV Hell clip of the Tang music set to that.
I think so. It's been a while.
And then there's the other one with Will Ferrell. I think I've been shot. That whole one goes on for so long, but it's so good and so dark. And he's also I'm gonna butcher this name.
Yay.
Seishin Moroi in Shiki.
Oh, Seishi Maroi. Yes. Okay.
John Bergmeyer carrying the show on his back.
This is the best. I'm sorry. I have to talk.
He's the best performance in the show, honestly.
I have to talk about this because the best way to describe this performance, there is a line, and I think Yuki is the one who says it. You just love hearing yourself talk, huh? And that's John Bergmeyer's performance in a nutshell.
Yep.
Because not only is the personality there, the humor is there. Because first of all, he probably had so much fun writing these lines for himself. But when Shigure does have to be dramatic, and if we're going back to the end of the series, when he looks for Tohru in the forest, and he basically, like, stops Aikido, like, when he gets dramatic and serious, he will make Shigure dramatic and serious. And basically the entire performance was just a bunch of fun to me, especially all the comedic bits and the comedic timing that Shigure has. And Shigure is the one who has probably the most witty little quips throughout the show. He is the one who talks about misdirected rage or being an ass. He loves to troll his editor. Like, there's no tomorrow.
Tips for the poor beggar girl.
Yes. It's so much fun, and we also gotta admit that Shigure is a dirty pervert. I mean...
Yeah, like, I think at one point he literally openly sniffs one of Tohru's bath towels and gets his ass beat.
Yes.
And then he also buys her a maid outfit to wear on White Day, as a gift for White Day, to clean up his house. Have we mentioned he's 27?
But, yeah, like, in terms of one of the more fun and stand-up performances, that one line, you just love hearing yourself talk. That's John Bergmeyer Shigure in a nutshell, man. It's so much fun, and I love it to pieces.
Oh yeah, I think he was. I have mixed feelings about this dub in general, but John Bergmeyer was always good. You know, he has been the most consistent in Funny's history of dubs since the very beginning, and so and Shigure is absolutely no exception. So, yeah, he was fun to listen to.
Yeah, one of the things I really liked is when he yells at Akito to stop it in the woods.
Yeah.
When Akito is kind of like, Tohru's literally crying her eyes out under a tree in the storm, and he's like, Akito, get out of here. And he's like, I regret ever dragging you into this. Like, he kind of knew, even though in the manga Shigure planned this all, and he's a fucking asshole, and he knew how to break the curse the entire fucking time.
Oh, boy.
Also, he ends up with Akito. To which, oh boy, let's talk about that bullshit. So yeah, at one point, do you want to know why Shigure's living in the house in the woods, guys?
Why?
You told me this before, but yes, let's go.
So, as you know, Akito a girl. And Akito did confess to Shigure that she loves him. So, Shigure, knowing that the curse would forever keep up if things kept going the way that Akito's mother was controlling things and abusing her child, slept with her.
Oh.
With the mom. And said it was revenge for Akito sleeping with Kureno. And said that, quote unquote, to Akito's mom, you will look like what Akito would look like if you raised her as a girl.
Oh.
And he told that to her, and Akito threw him out of the house.
Mm-hmm.
And he saw Tohru and put his plan into motion to break the curse. So Shigure is a manipulative asshole and doesn't get punished for anything he does.
Mm.
Oh boy.
To which I would pay good fucking money to see John Bergmeyer act that.
Dude,
because we know he can do dramatic.
Yeah.
I mean, if Ebisu is like, literally, all of our reactions to John Bergmeyer is Ebisu and Noragami was to sing praises.
Here's the thing. If you ever seen Shiki, him as Seishin Maroi is phenomenal. And it's
I
like...
have not watched that show, and that should be a classics episode so I can finally fucking watch it.
I will make that a thing. I will be the fucking host. You will be with me.
And
let's do this.
And considering it goes out of print next year, so...
Oh, that's true.
Because of Aniplex.
Right, I forgot
Fuck you,
about that.
Aniplex.
It's okay. I won half of my copy in a contest, and I bought the other half at a great discount because Full Moose credits are a thing that exists, ladies and gentlemen.
I bought it because it was going out of print and Hardy told me to.
Mm.
But yeah, his performance as Seishin Maroi and Shiki is phenomenal. So yeah, I would, if they were to remake the show, please bring John Bergmeyer back as Shigure. Please.
Anyway, so are we all good with Shigure?
Yes. Let's move on to the main three.
Yes. So first up in the main three, let's get a little catty and talk about Keo Soma, who is the Zodiac cat, who is the outsider, who apparently, if you know the old story of the Zodiac, that the rat tricked not to come to the party. So therefore, he is cursed by the vengeful spirit that wants, and his idea is that if he can beat Yuki, he'll get offered in to the Zodiac as a proper member of the family. But obviously, it is a facade, though, to hide his past trauma due to the suicide of his mother and the feelings he has towards Kazuma about, quote-unquote, not being his dad. Because his real dad's a piece of shit. So Keo Soma is played by Jerry Jewell, who plays characters like Viktor Nikiforov in this little 1-bit indie show called Yuri on Ice.
Huh, never heard of it.
Never heard of it. It's not like we all went to a convention where that was a theme or something, right, guys?
No,
Right.
not at all.
No, doesn't ring a bell.
I don't
he's
remember.
also-
I don't remember Master.
He's also everyone's favorite bearer of the metal pipe of fame, Russia, in every season of Italia. And of course, he is the eternal best boy Sniper Rifle Masters, Shinya Hiragi in Seraph of the End. Feelings about Jerry as Keo.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
I don't care what anyone says. This performance is still really fucking good.
It is. It really is. And
Fuck you, fight me.
and after meeting Jerry in person, realizing just how low key and laid back he is, that
He's very laid back.
playing someone like Kyo is actually breaking type for him. And and he's just, I think that he's probably one of the best performances in the dub, bar none.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
agree with you 100% because two things. When I first watched the show in high school, I had a crush on Kyo. Kyo is still my best boy from that
shit,
show.
yes.
Kyo is my best boy from the show. The other thing, going back to Cat Williams' Hattori, Jerry's performance is the other memorable one that if you were to ask me about a memorable Jerry Jewell performance, I would instantly tell you Keo Soma. Like, this is a phenomenal performance, and it still holds up today because he gets the attitude of Kyo, he gets the insecurities of Kyo, he gets the personality. It's an overall such a phenomenal performance, and I love every second of it, both when I was in high school and still love it today.
Oh my god, like, those last 3 episodes when you get to finally dig
Oh
into
my
why
God.
he is so antisocial.
Yeah.
And why he's afraid to
was
open
just-
up because of
I
what
was
happened.
done.
It's fucking tear-jerking, and I think this one goes to credit to the technical team of mix engineers.
Yep.
When he's arguing with the ghost of his mom. And you hear him scream, like, go away, it's not my fault.
Because we got
the mixture of Jerry as the Keo that we know, Kate as the younger version, not Kate, I have to get the name of this person right because they do deserve this, Avery Rice Williams,
Okay.
as younger Keo,
And then the monster Kyo.
and then the growling and roaring of this monster, where it's like, no, don't look at me, like, just how painful it sounds,
Yeah.
too. And it's just like, oh my god, this poor kid, and he really gets the comedic moments down, too.
Yes.
Like, when Tohru gets sick, and he's cooking the leeks, and he's got the goggles and the freaking medical, like,
Because he
like,
hates
the mask
leeks.
on.
He hates
And
leeks.
Shigure's just giving him shit, and he's like, what does it look like I'm doing? I'm cooking some stewed leeks.
I'm cooking stewed leeks for Tohru.
Ew. And then when Yuki comes home and he's like, somebody took all my leeks. Keo would know about that. I don't know fucking shit.
Kyo's
Kinda
like,
walks
I'm
by.
out.
I'm out, boy.
I'm out.
But like, one of the other moments that really touched me is in the very last episode, and it's when Kazuma leaves, and
Yeah.
Keo chases him down.
Yep.
And he goes, I'm gonna be a guy that one day you can be proud to call your son.
Mhm.
Yep.
And that is the moment the fucking tears started going.
Oh,
Mhm.
mine was earlier than that, and it just kept going
Like, I
the
had
whole
already
time.
been crying during the backstory of, like, the little one yelling, it's not my fault that she's dead.
Mhm.
Like, Fruits Basket takes no prisoners. Takes no prisoners.
Pulls no punches.
No.
Pulls no punches, get ready to weep, you bitch.
Yeah.
But no, the fact that it is still, I think it's still to date one of Jerry Jewell's best performances ever.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is astounding to say for a show that's 16 years old.
Right.
Because, I mean, I've enjoyed Jerry Jewell in a lot of things. I enjoy him as Victor and Yuri on Ice, but I wouldn't say Victor's as good as Keo.
Right.
Yeah.
To me, honestly. I enjoy him as Russian Italia. I enjoy him as Shinya, but I don't think I can... And it's just also how iconic the performance is
Yes.
to a generation of anime fans, especially those of us who are mine and Steph's age.
Yep.
Because I think Jerry even said, it's like, yeah, that's the show that a lot of people come up and say, that's what got me into anime. And a lot of them still, I think, latch on to Keo because of his own insecurities and his own issues. Because there are a lot of, and I'll save this kind of for the final thoughts too, because I don't want to take up too much time. But there's a lot of very nice things I can say about this show, and Keo is one of them.
Absolutely.
And the genuineness of the character, and his anger, and his own fear, and just what he goes through. And honestly, the part where he's like half naked in the rain just saying, I wanted my mom to share these moments even though she was afraid of me, just stick the salt in the wound you just stabbed me with, you fucking show.
Yeah. Like,
Just Salt Bay that right in there.
like, I would say if there were two memorable performances from Jerry at least from that same time period, Keo from Fruits Basket and Jimmy Kudo from Case Closed are probably very memorable Jerry Jewel performances from that early point in time. To be fair, he's had a good amount of awesome performances since then.
Like Victor and Russia.
But like you said, Megan, I would say Keo and Jimmy Kudo are probably the two most iconic ones that if you're around mine and Megan's age, which is like mid-20s or so, those are the performances of Jerry that you remember. You remember those for like years.
Yep.
But there is a
As opposed to the next person we're going to talk about, where a certain other show's fan base is going to remember for a very long time.
oh
Yeah.
boy.
Are you guys ready to move on?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
So next up we have Yuki Soma, who is the brat, which means he is kind of the privileged child in all of the Zodiac, but it's not all as it seems, as he's left the main house to escape it because of the past physical and verbal abuse of Akito Soma, as well as his mother's own awfulness because he sold her to Akito to basically be a beating toy to.
Oh.
Fruits Basket, fun for the whole family.
Wow, okay.
For kids.
Yuki is the
First basket for kids!
Thanks, Doug Walker. But Yuki Soma is the pretty boy that all the girls want to bang, and he doesn't want to get close to them because obviously he's gonna turn into a rat, and that doesn't get you laid, boys and girls.
No, it does not.
Try
I
as
would
you
not
might.
fuck the rat.
Try as you might. It's not gonna get you laid.
I mean, people don't want a rat in your pants, you want a snake in their pants.
Oh my god.
Trouser snake, everyone's favorite animal. Just imagine a snake. Oh, Yuki boy.
God damn it.
I'm coming out of your pants. And I love the fact that I get to do this voice with this character. Because Yuki Soma is played by everyone's favorite, Eric Bell. Eric Bell, as you might know, plays Ferret Backroy from Seraph of the End. He's also Loki in Fairy Tale, and Kyuta in The Boy and the Beast. But at this point, I think everybody knew him as that handsome, dashing future Trunks from Dragon Ball Z. Kill me now. Kill me now, where I stand.
Just.
Are you happy, Hardy?
Just stop.
No, there was also
Hardy, are
something else we were working on, remember?
What?
I
forgot about this! Yuki's a sexy rat.
Yeah,
I don't remember the rest of the words.
yeah,
I knew you were gonna kill me if we did this.
yeah.
So please don't hurt me when I see you next week. Take it to the chorus.
No!
He pressured me into doing this.
Yeah,
So send all your rage to Memphis.
yeah.
hate you so
And leave me out of this. Yeah, come here, girl. Don't throw me in the Hudson.
Stop it!
Or on the third rail.
Yeah, we tried. Yeah, we tried to do.
Okay, to be fair, I did sing an entire song about fucking a dragon to Gigi set to the tune of Do You Wanna Build a Snowman?
Trying not to kill everything right now.
Sexy rat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can we sell sexy rat t-shirts? And it's just a picture of Yuki as the rat and like a little tux, little Justin Timberlake.
Oh my
hairs
god!
in the band. And the band is just Haru. His backup dancer is just Hataharu.
Nice.
And Ayame.
Anyways, moving
Oh,
on.
god damn it.
Anyways, moving on. Yeah, this is totally against Eric Vale's types.
Just,
But yeah, up to that point, had Future Trunks been out in Dragon Ball Z yet?
I
know.
think Trunks was his first performance, yeah. And then he went on to also be the lead in Blue Gender as well.
yeah. Similar to Chris Sabat. If you thought this is the first time, if you thought Yona of the Dawn or anything like that was the first time where Eric Vale played a quiet character, you are fucking wrong.
Mhm.
Oh man.
Yeah. I compare Eric's performance of Yuki to sort of Brina Palencia's performance of someone like what's her name? Richan in Sakura Quest, or even Rei in Evangelion Rebuild.
Okay.
It's like, it's very low-key, very stoic, very soft-spoken, but you can definitely feel that there is emotion there.
Yeah.
There is sort of it's a coldness and yet also sort of a warmth to it, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, and it's actually really interesting because in the Japanese, it's actually a female seiyuu.
Female Seiyu.
Who
Really?
voices you. Yes.
Yes.
It is. And while we were at A-Fest, and Noah and I went to Eric's last little Q&A panel that he had on Sunday, he was like, yeah, I didn't exactly expect to be voicing Yuki, especially after I heard that he was originally voiced by female seiyuu. I didn't expect it.
Mm-hmm.
It's very strange to me. But, and here's the weirdest thing, like, for the longest time, I didn't know that was Eric Vale. Like, when I really started looking more in depth into, like, voice actors and the dubs and getting more critical and critiquing stuff, like, I didn't realize that Eric was Yuki. Because all I can remember Eric as is Sanji from One Piece, and characters similar to that. So, when I remember when I read for the first time, this was years ago, I think it was a few years ago actually when I first rewatched the series, for the first time in like years, and I was like, I forgot who plays Yuki. He plays Yuki. I'm like, no. I had this like flash. I was like, I did a double take or something. I'm like, wait, what? No, you're kidding. No, wait. No, what? And it's interesting because looking at it now, because we've had characters like Shinnok from Yona of the Dawn that kind of go back to that similar quiet, soft-spoken kind of role that Eric has played before, and it's very interesting. I don't know if it's probably one of Eric's better roles. It's definitely one of his more memorable ones, and mostly because it's probably still just the early days of Funimation, and there are points where maybe some of the direction was a little bit wonky. But I did enjoy, like, for a full watch again, I did enjoy the performance for what it is. It's not one of my favorites, but I did.
It's dated.
It is pretty dated, to be completely honest. It's dated, but I do think it's serviceable, and I did get enjoyment out of it.
No, I could definitely tell that, like Lilac mentioned, this was a voice actor still in the process of learning. And I agree, it is dated, and there are certain points where it sounds really bad. However, when Yuki, near the end, has to show some emotion, it sounds really great. Yeah, I just feel like both Eric and the actress who plays Tohru, who we're going to get to, both went on to become huge, talented voice actors, but this was sort of like their stepping stone learning process. I don't want to call it a training wheels dub, but yeah, this was sort of like, this was practice for them, if I could put it that way.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I would say a handful of the early dubs from Funimations are, by their own right, training wheels dubs for different reasons. Like it's a combination not just of, like, performances for actors, but also technical stuff, too. And, like, logistics and figuring out this whole dubbing process, you know?
Right.
So, I would say Fruits Basket is a training wheels dub, but for more reasons than just some performances, in a sense.
You have to consider that this was like one of the very, very first dubs they ever did. So
Exactly.
Yeah, it wasn't Dragon Ball.
Yeah.
I will say though, I definitely agree, especially in the last episode when he yells at Tohru to say what she has to say to Keo to get him to transform back, and again that scene with Kagura in the dark room when she's going through the box of sewing supplies is really good. I also think another really big highlight episode for him is actually the episode with Kisa.
Okay.
When he calls the letter about believing in yourself bullshit.
Yes.
Because he's like, how can you believe in yourself if others won't believe in you? And just how much, I think, internal rage Yuki had at that moment. And how much he had to kind of himself gain courage to take that position as student council president. But I really agree with that. And I really, really, again, hope if they remake the show, I think Eric's performance as Yuki would be better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially with characters like Shina under his belt, who doesn't talk a lot.
Yeah.
But still has to be very expressive in his emotions. So with that, we move on to the last character, Miss Tohru Honda, who is a 16-year-old girl who lost her mother to a car accident.
The precious cinnamon
lived
roll.
in a tent.
Impossibly sweet cinnamon roll, almost to the point.
She is too pure and good to the sinful.
To the point to where it actually physically hurts because you're dealing with major diabetes and massive cavities.
Yes. Yes.
And yet somehow you still get your teeth shattered in the last 2 episodes when she's just sobbing.
Yep.
And
anyway.
And I think, yeah. And this is, I believe, a first on this podcast.
Oh my god, you might be
talking
right.
about this actress.
You might be right.
And it might be one of the only times we talk about her, unfortunately. And that is, Tohru Honda is played by Mrs. Laura Bailey, who has played characters like Maka Albarn in Soul Eater. She was Young Trunks in Dragon Ball Z, and she was also Dieter in Monster.
Dieter. Oh.
Yeah.
Wait.
I left that for you. You know that, right?
Oh, Dieter. Oh, Dieter.
So, and I believe this is one of her first roles.
Mm-hmm.
It would have to be, yeah.
I love this performance a lot.
I have a few issues with it. Like I said, it's the same sort of thing that because it was one of her first performances, she wasn't at the 100% just yet. Now she's this big-time voice actress, has done everything, and everyone loves and respects her for good reason.
Fucking Gwen Stacy.
Yeah, but it's just some of the shakiness in her voice. First of all, I like Tohru, but she does kind of annoy me at times because she's almost way too perfect. Almost like a Pollyanna at times. Which is both, it's admirable, but it is kind of like, okay, you are an impossible person, you can't exist. And it's just, I don't know. But I like this performance, but I do think it could have been done a little bit better. I'm not faulting Laura for that. It's mainly because it is one of her first roles, and if she were to reprise the role, I think she would absolutely perfectly nail it.
And I would say too that a lot of your problems with the character do get addressed in the manga, because she's more of a deconstruction of a breakdown of the Pollyanna character, like the perfect, sweet, nice girl. Because she does go through some shit.
Right.
And she does have to come up with some other things that happen.
Yeah, I remember back to Heroes episode and him just treating her like complete crap. And so many times she does get treated like crap, and she just doesn't stand up for herself. And
I mean, it also doesn't help that Tohru's kind.
She does stand up for Yuki though against Akito of all
yes.
people.
Right.
Twice.
Yes, that is true.
She does tell Akito to fuck off at least twice, basically.
Yeah.
right.
But part of the thing with Tohru is it doesn't help that she's very naive and kind of a dunce.
Right.
Yeah.
That doesn't pull in Toru's favor either.
But yeah, that's really all I have to say about it. It's just, it was a sign of things to come for Laura in this case.
I would have to say so as well, because Laura, this is a very memorable performance for Laura, but yeah, it is one of her early ones in the whole anime dubbing thing. Sadly, she doesn't really do a lot of anime anymore, which is very depressing. She's mostly video games now, but I do enjoy the performance of Tohru's for what it is. She gets the adorable bits of Tohru. She gets the personality and the adorable bits of Tohru down, including her very naive and dunce ways. God damn it, the scene, the first day of school in the new term, when her and Keo are looking for Haru.
Do you even know where their class
Haru and Momiji are, and then when Keo's going to see if he can get someone to find them for him, Toru's just kind of spacing out off to the side, and these guys on the side are just like, dude, that girl, she's kind of cute. Yeah, but she kind of seems like an airhead. Just met Ted. And then Keo just comes in, punches the wall, and makes it look like he's her fucking boyfriend. And I think the little back and forth that Laura and Jerry have after that is basically like, you need to be more aware when you're by yourself. And she's like, right. She's all serious and stern. He's like, but it doesn't have to be all the time. Right. Still stern. He's like, well, you can be an airhead when you're around me at least. And she's just relaxed, like, right. And he's like, oh my god. Like, the whole emotional switch for, I would say, for her and for Jerry, because the two of them in particular kind of have to play a switch on their emotions a lot in this show. And both of them do a really good job at this. But yeah, I would say for Laura's...
I love this stupid
for Laura...
I love when she screams.
Yes, it's great. For Laura as Tohru, it's very memorable, but it is also rather early on in her voice acting career. So...
You want to know another moment of her performance that made me laugh?
What?
Is when Kagura transforms into a boar and she's just holding her and goes, I know what animal she is! She's the boar!
Like, well, that's kind of cheap.
And they're like, it doesn't count now.
It doesn't count anymore, Tohru.
I love the shit of this performance. Laura Bailey for the longest time was my favorite voice actress. And I actually got to meet her a couple times before she became, like, super elusive. Ah, bitch!
Whatever.
She actually did sign my Fruits Basket, my first volume of Fruits Basket I ever bought. Which was one of the first manga I ever bought for myself, too. God, I don't want to go into final thoughts already crying. But I love this performance a lot. I know it's not perfect, and I know it's not as polished as it could be, and if they remade this show in a heartbeat, I'd hope she'd come back.
I feel like she would.
Just because it's not, not because it's not like Trunks where it's gonna destroy her vocal cords. And I know she came back as Maka for Soul Eater Not, which was like not even that good of a show. But she reprised the role, and fuck Soul Eater Not. Maka's not Moe!
Maka's not Moe.
Not Moe. Hashtag Maka's not Moe. My dog is Moe. That Maka is Moe.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god.
She smiles when she pants. It's the cutest.
Yeah, I feel like it wouldn't be that far of a stretch if they remade the show and they get Laura
I would
back.
hope they did. I know the original manga author does not like what they did with the first part of her show. She was not a happy camper with that, actually. But I just enjoy how charming and sweet it is, and I know that the character is flawed because you don't get to see the full arc of her development, but I feel like she isn't perfect because in the last couple episodes she doesn't immediately just run to Keo's side. She runs away and says that she can't do it. And that part really hurt.
Yeah.
And just, I really enjoy the show, and I think it's good to move on to our final thoughts. Though I have one question. Who do you think she got with?
She got with Keo.
I know she got with Keo.
She gets with Keo.
I know she.
And they have cute babies.
Orange-headed babies.
Yeah, I think they have there's actually a sequel manga called Fruits Basket Another that takes place with a lot of their kids.
Okay.
And let's just say Ayame's daughter is a spitting image of her fucking mom. But moving on to final thoughts on the dub and the show as a whole, Hardy, do you want to go first?
Yes, I will go first. And I have a very controversial statement that some of you might think of me as a heartless monster.
Oh boy, here we go.
I know, I'm pretty much expecting you don't like this show.
I did not cry.
I don't expect
Not
you
once.
to.
I did not cry at all. There were certain points to where I was emotionally affected, but it was not the massive tearjerker that everybody, at least in my case, that everybody made it out to be. Did I not enjoy the show? I liked it fine. You know, it was enjoyable. Probably a 3.5 out of 5 stars for me. But maybe it's...
That's more offensive than anything.
How dare you!
I will fly up to Memphis and fight you in a pit full of mud and goats.
Yeah. It's just mainly because me coming into it at this very late point in time, 16 years after its debut, and not having a history with it like you two did, not watching it in high school. I was already out of high school when this show came out.
You were out of high school.
Right, yeah. And so I just don't have as much of an emotional connection to it. And looking back on it, I try to watch it for what it is, but I try to ignore the flaws, but it's hard for me to do so. Like, the dub is very, very stiff on a lot of occasions. The animation is not very good. The video quality on Funimation's streaming, when I was watching, it's standard definition. Now that they have the Blu-ray masters, they really need to update the streaming, I'm just saying. I can get why many people like it because they grew up with it. But for me, it was just sort of an okay experience. But yeah, I didn't hate it. I did enjoy it. It's just I don't have as much of a connection to it. And that's the most controversial thing I can say about it, is just it was a thing that happened.
Steph, you go, because I'm going last. I'm probably fucking cry.
Oh yeah, you probably are gonna fucking cry.
Yeah.
Shut up. I'm already getting emotional.
Oh god, hold it in, buddy, hold it in.
I'm trying, just go!
So, as someone who I don't necessarily have as much of an emotional attachment as Megan, but I do have an attachment like it, unlike Hardy does. Because again, this was one of those shows that was kind of my gateway into what anime actually is, and it's memorable to me to this day. To be fair, there are, like Hardy said, there are parts of the show that are rather dated, and honestly, if they were to remake the entire show, I would really love that, especially now since the story is complete. Basically give it the Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood kind of treatment, where they actually...
Except for have Madhouse animated and not Bones.
Pretty much. But, yeah, I mean, despite a few rather dated performances, I still think the dub itself is rather outstanding. There's a reason why it's still so well known today, and it's just really one of those classic anime that you can just revisit again and again. Maybe not on a constant basis, and maybe not a massive marathon, because how I marathoned it is I probably watched like 5 to 6 episodes like every other night or something like that. Basically like a disc's worth or something.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, like maybe not revisit like every single time, but it's good to I like coming back to it every few years or so, because I do still enjoy the show. Again, it's really such a great gateway for me getting into anime, and with rather memorable performances like Jerry Jewell, like Kent Williams, like to their own extent, John Bergmeyer, Laura Bailey, Eric Vale, things like that, where you have these no-named actors really gaining traction and now becoming more well-known and more popular now. It's you just kind of can't really go wrong with it. It's really solid, and if that remake were to happen, I really hope that they get a good amount of the cast back as much as they could, because I feel like there are a lot of performances and casting that just wouldn't be the same if they were recast. So I would say go watch the series if you haven't already, and definitely check out the English dub, because if anything, this is probably one of those shows I would consider a classic, and the dub as well, despite some of its flaws. And I just think it's rather solid overall, and I really enjoy it. So yeah, go watch Fruits Basket if you haven't yet. It may not be everybody's cup of tea, like in Hardy's case, but you'll get enjoyment out of it. So.
I really don't want to cry again on this podcast. I honestly really don't.
Okay. Just take it easy. Just take it easy.
I'm gonna try. This series means more than the world to me. Like, God, I don't want to fucking disgusting cry.
It's okay. It's okay. Just take your time. Just take your time.
Just breathe, okay?
Yeah.
When I discovered this show, I was in not a good place. I was on a path that I thought I wanted. I used to really... I grew up in Florida. I'm originally from New York, but I grew up in Florida. Which means at a very young age, I was separated from my distant relatives who I'm going to go see this weekend on both my mother and my father's side, and especially in my mom's case, my mom grew up in a very close-knit family in New York, because if you've never lived in a city with a lot of metropolitan transit like New York, essentially my mom's family used to see each other basically every other weekend when my grandmother, my Nana, was still alive. They would just pop into my Nana's house, which used to be my home, with my mom and my dad and my grandmother. So we moved to Florida when I was about 4, and I was also separated from both of my older sisters. It's not something I bring up a lot, but I am adopted. My parents that I live with are my parents through and through. I unfortunately only talk to one of my sisters, my sister Leah, who I hope doesn't see this and hear me crying, because she'll be upset.
Shh. It's okay. It's okay.
But, when I was in middle school, it was kind of awful. I didn't have a lot of close friends. I was stuck between two places, and that was agriculture club or the FFA, where I would raise rabbits and chickens and tractor driving and parliamentary procedure and opening closing ceremonies. And at that point, I was taking art class as one of my other electives for the whole year. And in this class, we would sit at other tables, and it was around this time, I think, back at this time, I think Kingdom Hearts 2 was going to come out. So I had this PlayStation 2 magazine, and I brought it to school one day to read. And the girl next to me, and her name is Carrie, saw it and started talking to me. And one of the first projects we did in class was we had to make a face out of beans. And I know this is a really long story and has have to do anything with Fruits Basket, but the first thing she made was Edward Elric.
Ah.
Okay.
And I asked her what was that, and one of the other girls at my table had no idea what she wanted to do. So Carrie brought in this book and showed her a picture of an orange cat and said, "You should do this one."
Oh, okay.
And that orange cat was Keo Soma.
Mm-hmm.
And I asked her if I could borrow her book. And I did, and she told me there was a show for it, and I could sit and I could come over to her house and watch it and borrow it. And that was the first time I had ever seen an anime. And I fell in love with it. I was 14 years old and very lonely and very sad. A year later, Carrie and I would take a 6-hour drive with my family up to my first anime convention. And from there, it's been a 10-year crazy ride ever since. If it wasn't for this show, I don't think I would be here today. It changed my life, honestly, and I'm not just exaggerating because I'm crying. Or I'm that type of person. And I remember so many things about this series just talking to me. Because I could remember being bullied like Kiso, or I could always remember some of the anger I held towards my family for some of the situation that came with how I came to live here. And I know that it's heavy for you guys who are listening that someone's crying and dropping their life story. But I wanted to do this episode because of how much this show meant to me. And honestly, the first time I remember, when I met Laura for the first time, I was still a dumb teenager. And I know she'll never hear this, but I met her and I was happy, and I've met Travis, and I've met so many of these amazing people. And the first time I went to Anime Boston and Steph was with me and I met Eric Vale, I just started crying.
God.
Because of how much it meant to me that I was actually in a room with, all these years later, after meeting you guys on D2, and I've told Ark and Prof how much I owe them my friendship with not only them, but with you guys. And how not even a month ago that we had this unreal experience where I told Jerry, thank you so much for doing this show, even though hundreds and hundreds of people have probably told him that. And that we actually got to, like, go down to Funimation, just even if it was for, like, a couple of hours, and see Jay and Lauren and Cliff and everyone. And this show is who I have to thank for having 13 amazing other friends named Steph and Hardy and Amon and Roots and Jet and Andrew and Zenith and Lack and Sneebs and Gigi and Jamal and everybody else who's come on this show, and
Noah.
Noah.
And Noah.
Asshole.
Noah would be so pissed if I
he's
forgot
so
him,
bad.
even though I give him so much shit. Like, I love this show, and I guess that's why when I was in high school I did pick that quote from Momiji to be my senior quote, no matter how many people in my class thought it was weird that I was picking something from a country that they would never ever be to or be into the shows that come from there or anything. And no matter how flawed the dub performances in this are, if it's old or if it's wooden, I can always come back to this show, even among other things that have maybe taken more prominence in my heart. And it can just be there. And I don't care if I have to buy this series for a third time, a fourth time. It's something that means so much to me, and I don't know if anything will ever come as close. I mean, Bakudo kind of also has another place in my heart, but I am not comfortable ever telling that story on recording. Unfortunately. But I really honestly hope that if you've never seen the show, that you at least say you've watched it once just to experience it. And if you liked it enough, please go pick up the re-releases by Yen Press and read the story, because it's fantastic, and just watch it. And that's enough crying, because I feel like I made Steph cry.
Yeah, I was tearing up a little bit, I'll admit it.
Don't cry. I'm already crying. You don't need to cry
I'm not
too.
the heartless hussy you guys think I am.
I called
Hardy
you
for driving
shameless
off.
hussy, not heartless.
Sorry, shameless hussy for driving off without us.
Yes.
Okay, because when we were waiting at the airport before I boarded my flight back home, I was apparently dubbed the heartless hussy.
I misheard. I was tired.
Thanks, appreciate that.
Yeah.
I have feelings too, guys. I just don't show it as often as other people do, okay?
Yeah. You got a heart of gold, but you also have a lead foot.
I live in Massachusetts and near Boston, so sue me.
Anyway.
You become heartless once you go to Boston.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not. I am. Here's my kind of driving. I'm a safe driver, but my mouth is the part that's the masshole in me. I will start cursing at other people. That's where the masshole comes in.
Oh yeah. Oh, try driving in Memphis. Everyone is literally out to kill you.
Yeah, like if I'm driving by myself, I don't give a fuck. I will speed and everything. But if
here comes speed racer.
if I have other people with me, I'll be the safe driver because I don't want anyone to get hurt.
Right.
But it's my mouth, and my mom realized that the last time she came down she's like, "You're a safe driver, but you talk like a masshole." I'm like, "Thanks, Mom. Appreciate that." Anyway, we're getting off track at this point.
Right.
Alright, so, I guess we talk about where to watch this now?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Let's finish this up.
So, if you want to watch Fruits Basket, you can watch, it on Funimation Now subscription service, which I believe is $5.99 a month, unless it is, unless you want the,
free version with ads.
Free trial, which you can marathon the show, and then you can make sure to turn it off, otherwise you don't get
charged on your credit card.
But otherwise, you don't.
I've cried, so my brain is.
Otherwise, you don't lose money.
Yes.
Otherwise, you don't lose money. But why would you want to? Why would you want to stop? Because the subscription service is awesome, and there's a new PS4 app. Like we said, there is a new 16th edition Blu-ray release. And there's also the DVD Blu-ray Classics edition. Oh no, sorry, DVD only Classics edition. This is the first time.
Actually, the DVD Anime Classics edition is officially out of print.
Really?
As of right now, the only legally way to own the series is on Blu-ray.
Is the new edition? Okay.
Yeah.
Because I have both.
I think it's a Blu-ray DVD combo pack.
No.
I think it's just Blu-ray.
No,
Okay.
I think it is just Blu-ray because I have I recently bought the Sweet 16 limited edition version.
You may not want to get rid of that Classics edition now.
Yeah,
Or if you do, wait until it goes up in price.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna hang on to that before selling it because I do have the Anime Classics.
I will never sell my copy because it's autographed. But like I said, if you want to watch it, you can watch the dub in, I believe both the dub and sub is still on
Funimation.
Funimation. Wow.
Yes. Yes.
The sub has not migrated over to Crunchyroll. Like I said, you can buy the manga from Yen Press, and the whole thing is out on 12 beautiful 2-in-1 editions, and they are the size of dictionaries.
Oh, lovely.
They are nice, big classic. They're called classic edition.
Are they?
And they're about $16 a piece. They are
Big phone books?
Big phone book size. So they're nice and big and easy to read.
Get them phone books.
Get them phone books. I actually plan on buying all 12 of them.
Like after rewatching the show, I'm very
It's
interested.
It's gonna cost me like $100-something, but it's gonna be fucking worth.
Yeah, I'm very interested in buying manga now. Only because of the story.
Read the manga because there's a bunch of other characters that show up, and honestly, I would really like Aaron Disney to play one of them.
If they remake the show, yes.
But who the fuck are you two, and where can we find you?
I am Spaceman Hardy. You can find me on Twitter at Spaceman Hardy. I'm also a forum moderator over at the Funimation forums. I occasionally pop in over at the Funimation Discord as well. That's where you can find me. I do a lot of angry rants and retweet a lot of Final Fantasy and Goat pictures, so yeah, check it out.
You also retweet quite a bit of food porn while you're at it.
Oh, yes.
My name is Stephanie. I am also known as Lilac to some people, mostly these two, because they've known me for a while. You can follow me on Twitter at Lilac Anime Review, with review being spelled REVUE, because I haven't figured out how to change the Twitter handle and make it actually go through and save, so I'm like, screw it, I'll keep it. Yeah, where you can basically follow my daily life and my complaints and shenanigans, and
about work.
and because I have to say this, Brenda, my stepmom, on the weird off chance you ever listen to this episode, because she started following me on Twitter now.
Oh no.
I am so sorry for some of the things you'll probably end up seeing me tweet. because I am not a perfect little child. Though I'm pretty sure you'll be okay with it though, so long as I don't go too overboard. But yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I hope you're ready for the shit I usually tweet on a daily basis. But yeah, that's where you can find me and catch all of my shenanigans.
Okay, so I am Megan, and I can be found at Quinera2 on Twitter. I'm also a moderator at the Funimation Discord, where you can hear me tell people not to be dumb.
Because they are dumb
play-
quite a bit over the...
Play nice with each other and deal with some people's stupid antics. When I'm not crying, I'm usually shitposting. And yeah, that's it. And I'm so happy that we got this episode done. And I also very much want to take a shower and go to bed.
If you want to catch any more, if you like the episode and you want to catch anything else from us, of course.
Yeah, subscribe to us. Subscribe to our channel, Dub Talk Podcast. Yes. We also have a Twitter, Instagram, Tumblr, all that fun jazz. But mostly our Twitter and YouTube updates. On Wednesday, we have a lot of episodes that we're recording. I know, because I'm in every single one of the episodes for the next 5.
You have nobody but yourself to blame for that.
Oh, I
Just
have quite
be
a few
real.
I have to deal with too, because God,
You're in Gamers and Tsukigake.
Yes, and we're recording those the next couple weeks, and you're in those two as well as Centaur's Life. And then
I'm in Centaur's Life, and
then there's so many other things because we have another classics episode that I have to start working on, and then dear God, before a certain oh God, as Megan lovingly puts him as DJ Bitch Baby, comes to complain again and asking for Gosick.
Hardy calls him DJ. I got that from Hardy.
Well,
I call him Gremlin Child now.
Gremlin Child.
I love you, we love you, Bakugo. I mean Cliff. I mean Master. I mean what?
No, before
King Explosion Burger.
Before I hear from him again, like, when's Gosick?
And you too, gods. Well, I forgot you while I was crying.
That's in the works. I have too much stuff to plan. I was in a planning mood the other day. I'm like, I gotta get all this stuff going. Let's go, guys.
At least you dodged a bullet, and you're not in the reflection episode.
You did that to yourself.
I did.
You did that to yourself. And you originally wanted it to be the OG episode for the summer season.
This is a thing that is true.
Yes.
But
you
anyways.
were so excited.
Ow, my tailbone.
As Megan dies in the corner.
No, my tailbone is very hurting from sitting down all day, and I'm still in a bra, and I hate it.
Do you want to,
as Megan is dying,
you want to, in case you're dying, you want to go ahead and wrap the episode up?
Yes.
Yep. So, thank you all for listening to me crying. And everybody crying, and maybe not Hardy, because he's the heartless hussy tonight. But, thank you so much for listening to this classics episode. I know it's not as long as, Ping Pong, but yeah. So, good night, and we'll see you again soon.
Bye, Otaku-wan, everybody.
Keep it manly.
God damn it, do we really have to end this like it again?
Oh.
I was gonna sing the ending song, but I can't sing, so.
Well, let's just sing Sexy Rat then.
I'll just let Laura Bailey
No,
do
we're not
it.
singing the Sexy Rat again, no.
We're bringing sexy
No.
rat.
Yeah. Alright.
Da 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 da, let Laura Bailey take us out.
Yeah.
God damn it.